On the old set for a day or two. There's new tweaks going on to the new set, and kind of this is where it used to be, a lot closer, but just two of us on set. Paul will be here for some discussion as well. Craig, Smoak, your weekend, best part of your weekend?
Best part of my weekend was, I guess, just getting some time to hang out and just not work for a few days. I don't know. It's just a typical weekend, nothing special, and just watched some Olympics and basketball and took in all of the news that was out there to take in. So, yeah, nothing too special to report.
And Paul Catalina will jump in. We're going to have him on later to discuss Robert Duvall dying at the age of 95.
How do you like me as a disembodied voice today?
You sound good.
I
will compliment you because a lot of people don't realize you've been busting your ass all day to get this, kind of make sure we're good. And this is good. We're doing the show. We're ready to go.
Yeah, it's Brandon, our normal producer, has a death in the family, and he is out today and Wednesday. So there's going to be some ping-ponging around this week a little bit. So I ask everybody to bear with us. But I have now gotten to the begging stage of can we just get the engineer back in here and lock me in the room with him, and then we get to come. He gets to eat and drink. I'll let him go to the bathroom and have water and maybe bread, but nothing until we get all that done.
Yeah, there's some bells and whistles that need to be fixed, and we'll get that along the way. The tweaking of moving into a brand new studio, which we, of course, appreciate. All right. You kind of felt this coming, but I didn't expect it after this weekend. K-State, of course, Jerome Tang has been vocal about his players, didn't deserve the names in the back of their jerseys. They've been in a free fall. Utah, K-State, and Baylor, all of them have been not good at all in the Big 12, but they did some additional workouts, steps, whatever you want to call them, around Bramlage, and they go to Houston and play Houston pretty well. And I'm thinking, okay, and even Kelvin Sampson, Craig, said complimented K-State how they got after it. He was fired by the end of the weekend. Gene Taylor making that announcement. We'll have the audio here in just a second.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this at the end of last week, how things just seemed really untenable, and as though they weren't going to be, I guess, rosy enough to continue this thing for much longer at their current trajectory. And really the big question at the end of last week was, well, do they make a move knowing how large the buyout is? And that was really the big question that I think was what prevented you from thinking they were going to make an entire jump to making this change. But they decided to swallow that buyout to some degree. Of course, the other part of the story is now that they are going to try to fight back and claw back some of this buyout to lower it. And they cited the firing for cause, including his detrimental comments towards the program in the postgame the other day, which I find to be complete BS.
Yeah,
but
that
agree. Is the tactic that K-State's going to go with. So we'll see how that works out for them. But, yeah, they've decided to make a move. And when I first saw that, I said, well, man, they're swallowing a lot of money. And then I saw the part about the buy, and I said, okay, well, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Hoping this will get negotiated down, and possibly, perhaps it will. And Jerome Tang will still get a boatload of millions of dollars and get some of what he wanted on the way out. And then K-State will get what they wanted, which is a break. And so I think that it was inevitable. We were heading towards this point at the end of last week. It was just a matter of when. Mm-hmm. And once that buyout was figured out, that they decided, all right, we'll just go with the for cause and see what we can get it down to. That answered the big question, and here we are. So, yeah, sorry end to the K-State run of Jerome Tang, and unfortunate to see it end this way.
Elite Eight, his first year, unbelievable team, Noel and others, Johnson.
Yeah.
And they were really, really good. Everything was fun, dancing with the students into the Elite Eight. Jerome Tang was as hot then as he ever has been. And then, Paul, this thing just didn't work out. And he has to take responsibility for roster management. You can fire him for that. You can fire him because his record was not very good, especially the last couple of years. I don't think, though, as Craig mentioned, what he said after the game about names on jerseys or whatever else, K-State looking to try to lower that buyout, which is between $12 and $18 million. I hate it for Jerome. We know he can forget about basketball. We know he can recruit, but he didn't do enough for K-State to still be there.
Well, look, if you want to fire somebody for cause, let's look at what Jerome Tang did. He said something in a press conference that was ultimately blows back on him a lot because he recruited those players. Mm-hmm. but is it embarrassing to the school overall? That's such a low bar to cross when you think about other coaches that have been fired for cause. Lane Kiffin got fired for cause because he wasn't showing up for work in Oakland. Remember, he wasn't doing that. That's why they tried to fire him for cause. Rich Rodriguez had a problem, and he didn't even get fired for cause at Arizona. I think about Mel Tucker got fired for cause at Michigan State because he sexually harassed a woman. Like, that's why he got fired for cause. Jerome Tang didn't get a DUI. He didn't do anything embarrassing. He didn't do what Sharon Moore did. He didn't do any of that stuff. This is just Kansas State's only shot to try to not pay a near $19 million buyout.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're doing, and it's a negotiating tactic. But if embarrassing press conference things are embarrassing to the whole university, well, guess what? They're like, you can probably go back and I'll find something embarrassing that Bill Snyder probably did. I mean, and by
maybe
the same,
not him.
Maybe the same token.
Maybe
no, but
not
I mean,
him.
But I bet you if you asked Bill Snyder, he'd been like, yeah, it probably wasn't my best moment, right? But it wasn't embarrassing to the whole school. Press conferences are very fleeting things. There's a million of them, and I just don't think that this clears any kind of bar of embarrassing other than the fact they have one win in the Big 12 this year. That's embarrassing.
That's why you fire him.
But that's why you fire him. But then, you
don't just say it, because then you don't get to negotiate the buyout down. That's the whole point of saying it, is to get the buyout to lower. That's why they said it. So, yeah, I mean, if they were just being honest of like, oh, well, he's not a good enough basketball coach, well, then good luck trying to get the buyout lowered. But to get it lowered, you have to say, oh, well, he was talking detrimental to the program. So, yeah, we know what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing. We all know they're full of it, and they don't really have much of a leg to stand on unless there's something that we're not aware of. But simply saying what he said in the postgame, is not enough to knock millions of dollars off of that total, but they're going to see if it is. And so we knew that the money was going to be an issue, and initially you thought, okay, well, I guess not, because they're going to make this move. And then you realize, no, wait, it still is. They're just hoping to make this move and have the money get lowered as a result of his comments or whatever other, I guess, piece of evidence they try to show moving forward. So it's very clear what K-State's doing. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. I don't blame them. This was becoming a quickly untenable situation. And when the guy's complaining about the people on the team in the postgame and he's the one that recruited them, then you realize you're at a point where, what are we even doing here? It's just a shame that it flamed out the way that it did. I mean, here was a guy who just a couple years ago was the next big thing and an up-and-comer and was going to be the face of K-State basketball for the next several years. I saw the clip on I guess it was social media earlier today about the fake timeout they called in the NCAA tournament a couple years ago. Like the first year they made it, players' names escaped me. The really great guard they had.
Noel.
Noel. And just remember, if you take yourself back to that time, like just you felt like K-State was about to start this basketball run for the next several seasons of Jerome Tang being at the head of this thing and having a lot of success. And so just incredible, but not unprecedented in any way how quickly it flamed out, but still just kind of shocking to see how quickly it flamed out in some ways. But not surprising given just, again, the whole mood kind of surrounding the program. And yes, the complete lack of results in a Big 12 that will eat you and take your lunch. And they sure as heck did that to K-State in every game but one this year.
Here is AD Gene Taylor. It's not a very long clip. He was there longer than this.
Addresses.
Here's Gene Taylor last night when asked about the decision to fire Jerome Tang.
Act that addresses, certain things that could potentially bring embarrassment. Basically his comments about the student athletes and the negative reaction to those comments from a lot of sources, both nationally and locally. Is where I thought we needed to make the decision.
And it wasn't that.
All right. Now, as far as, and man, we've had Gene on this show. He's fantastic at what he does, but he also is the one that extended Jerome Tang a couple of different times. The school did too. But comments from a lot of sources. Is it because that became part of the back and forth shows or talk shows or podcast? Or maybe columns written because Jerome Tang said something in the postgame? I hope that's not why, but that's what they're pointing the finger at. And we, again, know it's because he stopped winning and the roster wasn't very good and it wasn't going any further.
Did that sound like a man? And Gene Taylor's a very decisive individual that was confident in that statement.
No, it sounded like he was kind of
reading the party line.
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect for Gene Taylor. I do. I just think this is thin. And I just got a text from a friend of mine, and this is from the Mercury that covers Kansas State, in that they offered Jerome Tang the chance to coach out the rest of the season and then resign with a negotiated payout at the end, but he turned that down and resigned for cause. They never gave him a specific number. So through his lawyer, he said he would resign if he got the whole $18 million. And they said that now he's fired for cause. So now they negotiate, but they gave him a deadline until 6 p.m. His attorney called back and said, hey, that's ridiculous. Go ahead and fire me, which I would have done if I were Jerome Tang. I think anybody in this room probably would have said the same thing. And that's where they are. So, all
right. So there's Gene Taylor. By the way, the comments about what he said in the postgame, here's a note from a former player, Abdi Bashir, on Jerome Tang's viral comments after the loss to Cincinnati. It was the right message. I don't think Coach Tang said anything wrong. I think that people forget why we're here. I think we needed to be reminded of that. We're here to play for K-State. So that's one of the players who mentioned what he thought with the post-game comments. He wasn't bothered by them, at least him, at all. Here's Scott Drew, who about an hour ago they're on their way to Manhattan on a flight. Has been taken off. And thanks to Josie Hutton from Baylor Athletic Communications, she had her cell phone on the table, grabbed this two comments from Scott Drew about his thoughts about the Jerome Tang story, and has he been in touch?
Talked with him last night, talked again this morning, and I think anybody can relate when family, friends go through tough times. I mean, you feel for them, and Coach Tang, 19 years, won a championship here together, and family for life, and praying for him and his family, and they have a lot of Baylor people up there, and I know that's his concern, and which just shows what kind of man he is, worried about others. So obviously the one bright spot of going to K-State right now is I'll get to see him tonight and give him a hug. So that's one thing.
Yeah, just the timing of it, Scott. Just I don't know if it's good, bad, whatever, and then also I guess facing Madrid school.
Yeah. Well, just on I think most coaches would always tell you that we always prefer to finish the season. And so anytime any coach gets replaced during the year, most coaches would tell you that we prefer to finish the year, to finish what we start. That's what we preach to our guys, finish what you start. Going up there now, I mean, this didn't catch God by surprise. He had Coach Driscoll with him for a reason, because Coach Driscoll's been through a lot and experienced a lot, and I'm sure he's doing a great job comforting him, team, guys, and everybody. And at the same time, like I said, we get to see him as far as.
So one thing that Jerome Tang, I'm not going to read the entire statement, but he did release a statement to various media members. I got one, reached out to him last night, also sent a text to him this morning. I am deeply disappointed with the university's decision and strongly disagree with my characterization of my termination. I have always acted with integrity and faithfully fulfilled my responsibilities as a head coach. Then went on to thank K-State and others and the players, staff, etc., for being behind him from the time he took the job in in the spring of 21 after the national championship run by Baylor.
Yeah, I know that a lot of Baylor fans have tried to connect the dots and say that it would make a lot of sense for him to now return to Waco and go back on Scott Drew's staff. I don't know if that's something he's interested in. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it is. I also wouldn't be surprised at all if he wants to take a little bit of a break. We'll see what that looks like ultimately when he gets a chance to make a decision. But, yeah, right now, trying to, I guess, kind of clear whatever this is going to be for K-State and this lawsuit and all that, and get all that cleared up, and then we'll figure out what his future is going to look like. But, yeah, I mean, I think that him and Drew have a great relationship. It wouldn't be a shocker to see him wind his way back around, but I think others will probably have some opportunities for him as well. So he'll be fine. He'll be a basketball coach again somewhere at some point in time as an assistant. And I'm sure the line will be relatively lengthy because I don't think he forgot how to coach college basketball. But I do think, obviously, the K-State situation went super south quickly. And I don't buy what Gene Taylor's selling, but I understand K-State's got to try to save as much money as they can, but also get what they want. And so that's what they're trying to do. Again, have their cake and eat it too. That's what K-State's attempting. And we'll see. I mean, if you suddenly allow teams to say, well, there was comments in the post game, well, then there's going to be a lot of coaches and a lot of agents who are going to have a real big problem with that being looked at as something that you're now able to do as a school and get away with of, oh, well, he made mean comments. We don't have to pay any of his buyout. And look, they'll have to pay some of it. They just don't want to pay $18 million. So that'll be the next big fight for Drew and K-State is in the courtroom or in the lawyer rooms and trying to figure out where this thing ultimately goes. But he's going to be handsomely rewarded one way or the other, whether it's $9 million or $18 million. But he just won't be able to end K-State's or his time at K-State the way he would have liked, obviously.
I heard Vic Schaefer, women's basketball, but a great coach at Texas, after a game last week when UT was beaten by Vanderbilt, basically all but questioned if any of his players had heart. He said, I can't coach heart.
Yeah, they don't want to fire him.
Yeah,
though.
but they're not going to because he's a great national championship level coach. But so there's the examples. You can look at it either way.
Well, here's the other thing, and this is the rule of unintended consequences, but it's, okay, how many coaches that are iron fist coaches that will now be like, well, if Jerome, like if you're Danny Hurley, who has said way worse things in press conferences.
Doug Gottlieb yesterday. I know that was not about his team. It was about the officials. But, like, we're going to start saying what they say in press conferences are fireable. Like,
so, Mick Cronin, if embarrassing press conferences are the bar, then, again, like, this isn't going to work out, like, for Kansas State in any regard. Or what's going to happen is you're going to have an iron fist coach like Danny Hurley. He's going to say, I'll do a press conference when I want to do a press conference. And the conference will say, well, we like you to do press conferences all the time. And he's going to say, make me, because now I can get fired for anything I say, because it might be embarrassing to the school. And I would say that a lot of things that Danny Hurley, a two-time national championship coach, are pretty embarrassing to the school, but they put up with it. Like Craig said, they don't want to fire him, so they're not embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, if Nick Saban called his team everything under the sun, Alabama fans wouldn't have blinked because Nick Saban wins football games. The issue with Jerome Tang was nothing that he said. It was that he had lost the ability to guide this basketball program towards any sort of success on the court at this point in time. So that's all there is to it. I'm sure there will be something dug up that we hear about to try to bolster Kansas State's case about why they were embarrassed. But you cite the contractual language, Gene Taylor, you cite that, and it says public disrepute, embarrassment, ridicule, or scandal. Well, then the whole team needs to be fired because they brought public embarrassment to the program, and that's what Jerome Tang was highlighting. Now, he's in charge of that, but there was no public embarrassment. There was nobody going like, man, I had all the respect in the world for Kansas State until Jerome Tang's comments. Boy, that really got me thinking twice about the Wildcats. Like, no, nobody's mind or opinion was changed anything differently than it was before he walked into that room. It's very clear-cut what Kansas State's trying to do. They're not the first school to attempt it. They won't be the last school to attempt it. I don't blame them. Who wants to cut the $18 million check? But, yeah, they're going to have to eat some of this. They just don't want to eat the whole pie, and so we'll see how many slices they have to force down eventually. But I would be pissed if I was Jerome Tang. I also wouldn't be surprised because this is part of playing that game, and it is what it is. Like, hey, they're not very good. They're one of the worst teams in the country. If you were to go by like actual hope for the season, this wasn't a season where you walked into it and you thought, man, they're going to stink. And then, man, they're so much worse than we already thought. It's like, no, you actually spent a lot of money this offseason and thought they'd be pretty good. And they were way worse than anticipation. And it's a couple seasons in a row now where you're like, this thing is trending downwards in a hurry and we're sinking. We're not even like doggy paddling. We're just sinking at this point. So everybody decided to cut bait. Understandable, but there are contracts in play. And so we'll see, again, what the lawyers end up doing on the other side of this. And there's a really good chance that, hey, Jerome Tang gets $10 million and they shake hands and they go their separate ways in case they goes and hires a new basketball coach and Jerome Tang goes and rejoins Baylor or joins somebody that he met in the past and is an assistant with them for a couple years. And everybody will be okay in the long run. It's just a very quick fall from grace and a fall from a place where you really, again, thought that Kansas State had found their guy 3 years ago and was going to be on a run here of contending in the Big 12. And so, yeah, at some point that will all get unpacked as to why that is. But part of it is Jerome Tang clearly missing on some of the people that he brought in. And that all just added up to too much in the end.
They have had numerous coaches take the team to the Elite Eight, Final Four, even play for the championship. Many of them. The last three, Frank Martin, Bruce Weber, and Jerome Tang, took them to an Elite Eight. They have a tremendous history. Matt Driscoll. We know Matt Driscoll. We've had Matt Driscoll on our show. He was at, Northern Florida. He was a head coach, another one of that tree of Scott Drew at Baylor. Fiery guy, emotional guy, hell of a basketball coach. He now takes over as the interim head coach at Kansas State for his friend Jerome Tang.
And I honestly, would not be surprised to see both Jerome Tang and Matt Driscoll back in Waco. I mean, I know it's, let's just say 50-50 right now, but I do think that the three of those coaches could do really well together. I think Scott needs some stability. He has no one left on the staff, really, from 2021. No one. I mean, the one who's the closest to him, he was playing basketball in Europe, would have been Tweety Carter. And the rest of the guys are all different coaches. They lost, it started with started with Matt Driscoll long ago, but they lost Matt Driscoll, then they lost Paul Mills, then they lost Grant McCaslin, who's doing a great job. They lost Jerome Tang. They've lost Sam Patterson. They've lost all these guys who were with them the whole time. A.D. Mahaltra was one of the best basketball ops guys, and he's in the NBA now. Alvin Brooks is at Kentucky.
Yep.
Jared Nunes stepped away from the program this year. So all of those people are all gone now, and he's starting a new. Bill Peterson, gone. Like, all those guys have come and gone, and that's how coaching works. But I do think that if he got some of the old band back together, that it might help them solidify things going forward for a year or two before those guys ultimately get other jobs.
Here's a list of names, and of course, we just discussed the history at K-State. It's got a hell of a basketball history. Brad Underwood is at Illinois. I cannot imagine he would leave Illinois, which is one of the banger schools. A former player there in the mid-'80s, and then also was an assistant coach there in 2006 to 2011. But you're talking Illinois, they're one of the bangers in men's basketball. And K-State can be. Josh Schertz at St. Louis, Jared Calhoun at Utah State, and Eric Olin, who's at New Mexico. There's a few other names also involved in that, and I'm sure that we'll dig deep to try to find whoever's going to replace him. No rush to do it. But that's those are some of the names brought up as a way to replace Jerome Tang.
Yeah, I mean, there's some quality guys, and that's a good job. I'm sure people will be excited to go after that one, those who fit the mold of what they're looking for. But obviously going to have to let the season play out a bit. We'll see how that counteracts the pursuit of these coaches, because there's still another month plus left in the season to go for most people. So not sure. I mean, I know behind the scenes there's already work going on. I bet there's already phone calls out, agents talked to, coaches identified, and all those types of things. That'll continue on. But as far as who's the next guy going to be, I think we'll probably be waiting for a little while, unless there's just somebody that's like in-house and unattached to March Madness that is able to freely kind of move here quickly. You just have to sit back and let this process take shape. And I don't think there's a Colin Klein out there to go and grab. That's just the obvious guy. So we'll see what they do. I mean, that's the next part of this, is who they go and get. But I did see the comments last night, and this always happens during football firings as well. Is like, if they don't pay the buyout, nobody's going to want that job. And that's not really true, depending on what the job is. I don't think Kansas State's going to push away any coaching candidate because they're trying to fight Jerome Tang's buyout. I think that's pretty much what coaches and agents all expect them to do. Now, if they let it get ugly, then maybe that would push a guy or two away, because they're like, why do I want to walk into this mess where the AD's fighting and their lawsuits and all this kind of stuff? But I don't think, just based on them initially fighting this buyout, that's any kind of a shocker to anybody else, or that coaches who would otherwise be interested are going to go, oh, no, I'm not going there. Look at what they're trying to do. No, they're doing what every university in the country would attempt to do. So, I think there will be a nice candidate list when all is said and done, and I'm sure that's coming together right now.
All right, so let's get to what is a bunch of basketball. We will also discuss the loss of Richie Saunders at BYU. Dave McCann out of Provo and Salt Lake City will join us later in the show. But over the weekend, Texas Tech goes into Tucson and a huge win, back-to-back losses for the Wildcats. Grant McCaslin and Tech now have wins against who? Houston, Arizona, and Duke. Also on Saturday, Iowa State throttled KU, who was red hot. And Iowa State kind of flexed their muscles. I'll kind of go over the top 25 later in the show. But another weekend where if you turn your head for just an instant in the Big 12, you're going to have a bruise on the side of your face.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible win for Tech. Overtime affair that you thinking somebody's going to try to close this thing out in regulation. It gets pushed into overtime. Free basketball between these two teams. I'll absolutely take it. But, Texas Tech, an incredible win for McCaslin and the Red Raiders. And they're a very, very good team. They're in a pretty lengthy list now of Big 12 teams, including the team they beat, Arizona, that you're looking at making a lot of noise, not only in the conference tournament, but also nationally as well, to state the obvious there. It was just a battle of two teams who you think can compete for a national title, and it's what you expected for the most part as far as being a close competitive game. And Christian Anderson was great. JT Toppin obviously was
very good,
phenomenal for Texas Tech, but Anderson, among others, were also very, very good and helped lift them to that win. So, just an incredible basketball game and two really good teams, and exactly what you sat down in front of the TV or in those stands there live to see unfold was a game like that. And you got your money's worth, I think, when all was said and done, because they were throwing blows at each other. And Texas Tech was the one able to keep it standing there after the final bell rang. And kudos to them for a really tough, hard-fought win. They are a scrappy bunch and also very talented, and they're going to have a chance to really make a lot of noise. But Arizona, even with these couple losses, I think is okay. They're just hitting a little bit of a rut, but I don't think it's a situation where you're getting blown out and you're like, wait, where did that come? I mean, you're losing to really good teams and really close games, and it's just the way that it breaks sometimes. So no reason to panic for Arizona by any means, but they have had a little skid here recently that you maybe, if you want to spin it positively, like they did with the loss last week, well, now you can do it this one. It's like, oh, well, maybe you needed to lose to kind of see what that felt like. And so either way, I don't think it affects them much at all, other than maybe grounds them a little bit more, just gives them just a little bit of a pinch of like, yeah, just remember there's a long way to go here. And this is what a loss feels like. And this is what you need to do to avoid that in the future.
Koa Pete, lower body injury. They're not sure about his return. Houston, they're now back at the top of the Big 12 standings with a 1-game lead over Arizona. Their next 7 days, actually 8 days, tonight at Iowa State, Saturday home against Arizona. 1 week from tonight, Paul's going to be there at Big Monday as they play at Kansas in Lawrence. That is their next 3. There's other schools that have this kind of a battering ram too, but that is going to be fun to see how they handle it. They'll probably be just fine.
Yeah, I think Kansas will be fine. I mean, this week they've got 2 games, Oklahoma State and somebody else, middle to the end of the Big 12. So they don't have to worry about that before they play Houston on Monday. But
well, let's focus on Houston's next 3 games. Yeah.
Houston's next 3 are a battering ram. But yeah, but this is what the Big 12 is. And Houston hasn't had their battering ram yet. Kansas hasn't really had their battering ram yet. Theirs is Houston and then Arizona. BYU's had their battering ram. My goodness, have they had their battering ram.
And they're not done.
Yeah, and they're not done. I think Iowa State's just about through theirs. After tonight, I think that theirs eases off a little bit. I do think they still have to play Arizona, but
BYU has Arizona on the road Wednesday, Saturday against Iowa State.
Okay, so they're not done. They're not done yet. They just got a little reprieve in the middle and still lost one of their best players in all of that. So yeah, that's the Big 12. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're going to be feeling good about yourself. And then you look at your schedule and you're like, well, there goes my self-esteem. That's it. I'm done, for a little bit. And you're just going to get beat down. But if you can keep your head above water enough, the whole point of the Big 12, and this is what makes it great, is just get in the tournament and don't play them anymore and see what happens.
Until you play them immediately right after the season because of the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, I should, in talking about Texas Tech, I mean, mention the Coa-Pete factor. I mean, that obviously played into that result, but I don't want to mention it as to take away from Tech's win either, right? So, yeah, hopefully Coa-Pete is okay and will be good for the long run. I haven't seen an update here this afternoon. Was running around doing something and don't know if something else came out since earlier today, but that was obviously disappointing. So you want everybody to stay healthy as much as you beat up on each other. So Arizona definitely needs Coa-Pete, and that was notable from that game the other night. But shouldn't take away from Texas Tech's win. Does though soften the blow a little bit if you're Arizona, saying, okay, we went to overtime with Texas Tech and we lost our best player and lost him early, and this and that. But just hopefully he's okay.
Again, Dave McCann will join us today at 5. He covers BYU on the Richie Saunders injury, and then also the week after Parker Kingston is no longer, in fact, on campus. That came down on Friday afternoon. Speaking of Saunders, BYU, according to Evan Miyakawa's analytics, without him on the team or on the roster or playing, their number drops, in his opinion, from 22nd overall to 45th. It's a huge drop without him. They still have unbelievable talent with Dybantsa and, of course, Rob Wright, et cetera. But with Saunders out, that's a big hit for them.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much what they have now, is those two, right?
Yeah, they've lost Baker, Kazatsky, Pickens, and now Saunders.
Yeah, so their backcourt's screwed up, and they have a severe lack of depth, and so that's going to be very trying for BYU, as talented as Wright and Dybantsa are. Richie Saunders, an excellent player, huge part of what they do, and that was just a really ugly, unfortunate way to see a career end as far as his college game goes, because I think every expectation is that he's going to be playing NBA basketball next time we see him, at least based on the mood that I came across this weekend, was that people feel like he's going to have a great shot at the next level. So, yeah, really unfortunate for that young man. He's a great player, very well liked and respected, and just to hate to see that, because BYU is certainly not at full capacity as we start to hit the stretch run here. And that's something that, could sink them from being a team that goes and makes a Final Four type of a run to maybe a Sweet 16 instead, which would still be great, but we'll see how far they get, but that's not going to help matters at all.
One other note on Houston and Kelvin Sampson. It was about a week ago. He was doing a radio interview at a restaurant. He does it for the Houston flagship, and he said something about that they're not, I don't know if he said running out of money, but they were struggling a little bit. The men's basketball program will always be funded very, very well. We say a lot of things about Mitch Cronin at UCLA, who can just be a wild hair. Sampson said that after his comments about the Houston Athletic Department, Mick Cronin Venmoed him money, $1. And it was tagged with, yo, man, I heard your presser. I'd like to help. Here's $1. So a little sense of humor from one coach to another.
I mean, at least Mick Cronin has a sense of humor about something, but
he might be a really good
I do
dude.
think anytime I hear a coach asking for money, I know it's what they have to do. And I know that even like Ryan Day, whose program has a ton of money, Nick Saban, whose program had a ton of money, they cannot go up and be like, you guys are doing great, keep it up. They have to cry. They have to point to everybody else is spending more money. So you guys are doing great, but we need more, because if you guys are doing great, keep it up. Then those guys are going to hear, oh, good. We're competitive.
You know, when you ask for something when things are going well.
Yeah. And so you have to get up there and say like, oh, our sneakers, they're all just Chuck Taylor Converse All-Stars from 1987. You don't know these kids. It's just, we've got it's all woe is me. We don't have as much money, because the minute you say like, hey, we're great. We're great. Like, you're never going to hear Steve Sarkisian go up there and be like, I cannot believe the money that we have.
I mean, Paul, have you ever heard a billionaire say they've got enough and they don't want any more? Yeah,
no, they're not gonna.
Of course.
They're not gonna.
That's why they're a billionaire.
Yeah.
All right, to close it out with this, and Kevin Sweeney from SI to talk basketball, football, and Sacramento State and the MAC. Some interesting nuggets there. And again, the Parker Kingston story at BYU of finality. Matt Schick of ESPN, with the note about Jerome Tang last week saying that the players did not deserve the names in the back of their jerseys. He just put this up there in a flip it. I told my kids they did not deserve to have my last name because of their poor behavior during dinner. They decided to fire me for cause. I'm calling my lawyer. So, fun nut from Matt Schick. When we come back, many things to get to. You guys want to put a bow on this because we got to get to Kevin Sweeney. SI.com, national college basketball writer. He's next. This is 365.
That's my go-to guy. Can you
become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be? How can he help you? How can they help you? As you get older, your testosterone level can drop. The number drops. It happens. That's part of father time. Sometimes you may not be affected. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptoms of low testosterone. Contact him at pennycliniclowt.com. Tell him I sent you. And if you're lethargic, you don't have the same energy, and everything else in your life is pretty good as far as your exercise, diet, you're doing well at work, etc., it can happen. Dr. Kent Petty can help you. He'll set up an appointment, pay for it if you contact him. And by the way, they then will get your blood work, your T level, and after that, put you in a program to increase your testosterone level at pennycliniclowt.com. We mentioned unbelievable games still to come in the Big 12, including tonight with that one, with 2 teams ranked in the top 5 who are rolling. Kevin Sweeney, SI.com, covers college basketball. We've had Kevin on to discuss college basketball in the past and does a great job with it. He joins us live on 365 Sports. Kevin, let's start, though, with the obvious, with Jerome Tang at Kansas State. No one is debating whether or not his win-loss record probably was going to get him fired, and it would have been a reason to fire him. What are your thoughts about what K-State is saying, though, for cause?
Yeah, I don't like it. I was talking to an agent in the coaching world who said, this is maybe more common than you would think. It's a negotiating tactic. It's something that happens in business, not just in college coaching. But it strikes me that the only cause is that he's lost a lot of basketball games, right? Like, he got angry at his players because they played horribly at home in front of their fans that pay real money to go watch the games. Like, to me, that press conference that's getting cited was like maybe the best thing Jerome Tang did all year with this group. So, wasn't a fan. Don't think it totally matters. At the end of the day, he'll get most, if not all, of this, $18+ million buyout that's in his contract. But Kansas State wants to fight this and maybe save a few dollars along the way. We'll see how successful that is.
Kevin, any sort of a feel on the direction that K-State goes now? Kind of how do you feel about the shape of the program and who they perhaps go and try to bring in to right the ship, so to speak?
Yeah, it seems like experience at a premium. Guys who've been head coaches for a long time, guys who've had success, you hear about. Obviously, Jared Calhoun and Josh Schertz are the names you'll hear for pretty much every mid or high major job. They're the phenomenal mid-major coach of the cycle. But I think you'll hear everyone from guys like Casey Alexander at Belmont to Rob Senderoff at Kent State, who's done a phenomenal job for a long time. Andy Kennedy at UAB, maybe a name that has high major experience. I think that's something Gene Taylor will value. Chris Jans, who's at Mississippi State right now and done a great job. Those are all names I would maybe circle. I don't think it's a bad job by any stretch. I think it's mid-tier in the Big 12. I think the other thing with K-State, like they've been a committed NIL institution. Like they have committed to that in a big way. And I've been impressed with that. Obviously football will take some of that cash here coming up in the years ahead with Colin Klein. But they're a program that's committed to winning and financially, and that goes a long way in the cycle.
Kevin, Jerome Tang didn't forget how to coach basketball. He didn't forget how to recruit, but obviously he didn't get the right players, or when they got on campus, they didn't develop well enough, and that led to what happened as well. What is there anything else other than that? And where were his big misses after that brilliant Elite Eight run his first year?
Yeah, I would say it's a roster management thing as much as anything, right? It's how they navigated the portal, some of the big misses, big financial misses. And I think, quite frankly, built rosters that didn't make a lot of sense just in terms of, you think about 2 years ago when they spent all the money on Coleman Hawkins and Onyenso from Kentucky, and like they had no guards. It was an oddly constructed group, and I think that was a huge part of why they struggled. It wasn't talent, and then I think this year, similar story. Like invested heavily in the international market. Those guys have not really panned out for them. PJ Haggerty's a good player. He's a hard guy to build around, and I don't think they did a great job of putting the right pieces next to him. So he could always recruit and he could always coach some ball. But I think he's someone that definitely struggle with the roster management and roster construction side of things.
Kevin, elsewhere, K-State will go and try to figure out what they do next, but the beat goes on right across the rest of college basketball. And in the Big 12, much anticipated matchup, Texas Tech, Arizona. Red Raiders get the win in overtime. Koa Pete goes down for Zona, but Toppin was sensational. Your thoughts on just everything to unpack from that game, including Arizona now with a couple of L's back to back, and the Red Raiders with just a massive W.
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech is really difficult to handle when you get into close games late, because you have a monster in Toppin down low, you have an elite point guard in Anderson, and then you have the shooting around them. Donovan Atwell, maybe the best shooter in the country. So that causes a lot of problems, and they're tough to close out because of that. And I think the difference for Arizona the last couple of games where they've lost has been the Jaden Bradley, who was so good closing games the last 20 or so. Obviously, a lot of those were blowouts, but they were in some tight ones that he had to win them late. He had been so good. He struggled in both those, just didn't hit shots. That's understandable. I don't think it changes the outlook too substantially in terms of where they are. But, they're still a 1 seed, still have a great chance to win the Big 12 or compete for that championship. But obviously frustrating to hit two back-to-back, and the schedule does not soften for the Wildcats with what they have ahead.
We have seen, and you have, the Big 12 has had year after year of being fantastic with highly ranked teams and also deep into sometimes even the midsection. This year seems to be a little bit more of the upper echelon, and there's 5 or 6 that are really good and 2 or 3 that are trying to get in the tournament. How would you describe the week in and week out within the Big 12 when it comes to men's basketball and the schedule?
Yeah, I think the realignment piece has probably changed things a little bit in terms of creating that softer bottom with Colorado, who's not great, Arizona State, Utah. All those are newer teams to the league. And then you see an uncharacteristic year from Baylor, Kansas State, bottoming out. And then that's how you build the bottom, right? It was when it was the double round robin, it was top to bottom nightmare for teams. But Kansas really had run away with the league for so many years and controlled it. And now I think the realignment has added strength at the top, given Kansas and Iowa State some competition, but also maybe softened the bottom and created more of that maybe traditional dichotomy. So
BYU now with Saunders going down, a pretty massive blow to say the least. They've got these past couple games where they played Baylor and Colorado, haven't had to sweat too much there, but now Arizona coming up on the road, number 6 Iowa State. They got Tech there at the end of the year. They obviously are coming off of this 4-game losing streak where they played a bunch of the best teams. So they've been going through it, man. But with this Richie Saunders injury, how does this change your overall prognosis outlook for BYU moving forward?
Yeah, it's obviously huge. Saunders, a huge leader for them, but also, the best 3-point shooter on their team and one of the best in the country, and someone that opened the floor up for AJ, Dybantsa, and Rob Wright. and you think about the injuries they've already dealt with in their backcourt. Lost Dawson Baker, who was a key piece. Nate Pickens was a transfer they thought would play real minutes. He has not seen action this year due to injury. Like, they're running out of bodies that can space the floor and play competently. Their depth has not been a strength, and now it will be tested even further. So I think you're going to see absolutely enormous usage from AJ here over the next several weeks as they head down the stretch. Be fascinating to see how he handles that and how much more difficult life is for him without Richie Saunders, who you can't ever help off of. But just a crushing blow, and a guy who really represented BYU well, and just unfortunate he won't be able to do it one more time in the NCAA tournament.
What did you think of how far they could go before, and now how does that possibly change how far you think they can go? Because you still got Dybantsa in right, obviously, but I mean, how does this kind of affect their overall standing in the tournament, you think?
Yeah, I think it certainly impacts their ability to make a deep run. I don't know if I saw them as a Final Four team, but I still thought even after the losses that they could get hot and maybe make an Elite Eight, make a real push. I think this changes that. Individually, like AJ is so good and Wright is so dynamic that, I wouldn't be shocked in any matchup if they hung around and maybe found a way to win. But defensively, they're very flawed. This doesn't help matters in that regard. I think this is maybe more a team that is very vulnerable to a first weekend exit, which would be disappointing, obviously, with what they invested into this roster. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to have someone like AJ on your roster, and just hasn't quite come together, I think, the way they hoped, and injury is a huge part of that.
Kevin Sweeney, SI.com. We've discussed, the Big 12. How about Michigan Duke looming on Saturday at numbers 1 and 3?
Yeah, heck of a week for the Wolverines, right? Go to Purdue on Tuesday, one of the toughest places to play in the country, and then head to DC for Duke on Saturday, which would be a monster. Their size, their physicality, it's overwhelming. It's different than I think what you see just about anywhere else in the country. They're built like an NBA team in a lot of respects, and so they struggle in the half court offensively. That's the one way to beat them, is keep them out of transition, slow the game down, make it more difficult for them to execute. But they get these athletes flying up and down that at their best, it can get ugly. We saw it at Players Era in Vegas. We've seen it in stretches. I mean, they beat UCLA by 30 on Saturday, and it was just sort of a walk in the park. But stumbled against Northwestern, could have lost that game. We're down 17 in the second half. They can swing games quickly in their favor, but when they're slowed down, that's the one hole.
What do you think about Nebraska? I mean, got the win over Northwestern, but it dropped 3 of 4 prior to that. And obviously they're one of the better stories of the year, still very highly ranked. And those losses were to 3, to 9, and to 13. So, I mean, hey, that's going to happen there. But does that shake your confidence in them at all, or is it just a matter of meeting who they met on the schedule?
Yeah, I think it was the schedule. They were always, to me, a little bit lower in the Big Ten hierarchy, below the Michigan, below the Illinois, more grouped with, I think, Purdue, Michigan State, that group that's really, really good. Probably hard to envision them winning a national championship. But they're shooting. I mean, unbelievable to watch. Price Sanford and Braden Frager flying off screens. Rick Mass is a big who can space it. They're just a lot to deal with. And especially in a short prep situation in the NCAA tournament, when you're talking about a team that runs so many actions, that constantly is moving without the basketball, that plays a much different style than the ball screen centric teams that you see throughout the sport. They will be a difficult out in the NCAA tournament because of that as much as anything.
Kevin, of these teams, and Nebraska would still be kind of not a Cinderella because they're in the Big Ten, but they've never won an NCAA tournament game in men's basketball, which is still staggering. They haven't made many appearances. St. Louis, Utah State, and unbeaten Miami of Ohio. Which of those three, and there may be 2 or 5 others, but which of those 3 do you feel like could be somewhat dangerous to anybody in the tournament?
Yeah, I think all of them have the potential to be. I think SLU is definitely the best of the bunch. Just athletically, they match up really well. They have big, strong wings. They have speedy guards, and they shoot the cover off the basketball. I mean, they're one of the best shooting teams in the country. I think in conference play, they're shooting something like 45% from distance. Josh Hurt's a phenomenal coach, and they're better defensively than I think you would have given them credit for in the preseason with their personnel. So I think SLU's a team that could win multiple games, that could make a Sweet 16, make a real push. But certainly I think Utah State, I think Miami, Ohio, I think Belmont is certainly in the conversation as well. That could advance to the NCAA tournament here. I don't envision another year of no Cinderella in college hoops.
Any thoughts later on tonight on Houston and Iowa State?
Man, it's going to be a war. And unbelievably physical matchup, obviously. Hard to bet against Iowa State at Hilton, though. So I lean towards them. But with Houston and Kingston Flemings, it's hard to rule them out either.
Where have you not been, Kevin, covering men's basketball that you'd like to cover a game? Is there a specific arena that you have not yet gone to?
Yeah, I think the big one is I still haven't been to Allen Fieldhouse, which is sort of remarkable. And I can't wait to do it at some point. It just hasn't worked out timing wise. But yeah, I've been blessed. I get to cover the country and see so many of the best venues and whatnot. It's truly special. But yeah, the Fog definitely high on the list.
Well, we were talking about this. One of our co-hosts who's doing a little bit more than that today behind the scenes is going there this big Monday when they play Houston, right, Paul? Is that right?
Yeah, I'll be there at the big Monday game.
So he's been there a couple of times and going back again. So that's surprising you haven't been there yet.
I know it's just hasn't worked out, but I'm sure it will soon.
Kevin, just come on Big Monday. We'll hang.
All right, let's do it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Kevin Sweeney. It's great to have you back on with us, Kevin. Kevin Sweeney, SI.com on many things. You have Duke and Michigan collision course Saturday, the game tonight, Houston and Iowa State, plus the one we just mentioned, Big Monday, and others in between too. What a run. What a run in men's basketball. The top 25 came out. We'll get into some college football news at the top of the hour. Top 5 includes Michigan, Houston, Duke, Arizona. They were 1. They dropped to 4 despite back-to-back losses. But again, look who they lost to. And then UConn. Iowa State is 6. KU is 8. Texas Tech is 13. BYU went 2-0 and dropped a couple of notches to 23. Those are the Big 12 teams inside the top 25. But there you are with that. Also, our good friend Joe Lenardi, bracketology. This is teetered between 7 and 8 when it comes to the Big 8, the Big 12, and how many teams they get in the tournament. Right now, among the top 4 seeds, they would be Houston, and Iowa State would be 2 seeds. Arizona would still be at this particular time a 1 seed. Those would be the top 4 seeds in the tournament. 3 teams out of the Big 12. TCU is in that last team in. They're playing well enough, and they've had a couple of quality wins lately. Just win. And then West Virginia's on the outside. So is Oklahoma State, among others, on the outside looking in. There we are with college basketball. When we come back, Sacramento State makes the big jump. How much is it? How much do they have to pay up front in the first year? What does it all mean? Who is the closest school from Sacramento State in the MAC? How far? How many miles? And then also the Parker Kingston story and BYU. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. I was there. I got a text from Eric Upton, said it's time for you to come in for your maintenance. And I was like, okay, let's go. Everything within the engine, everything within the car is perfect. It's really, really good. But I did need to get an oil change. Okay, that's good. Sometimes I might be on the road. I look at the sticker for miles, and I have to just get it done somewhere. But I always feel great going there. I sent Ted Teague a note. I said, hey, Ted, I'm taking my car in this morning, or tomorrow, Thursday morning, and I'd like to know, is there a car you want me to drive so I can talk about it on the show next week? They put me in a Jeep Wrangler. I'm not a big Jeep, like the Jeep, the what it looks like, the ones that's kind of rugged. I've driven 1 or 2 before. They're kind of rattly, a little bit loud. You hear everything, and they're also at times they can be a little bumpy. Now, I'm not saying it's still not a great car to have, or a Jeep. This was a 4-door. This was a 4-cylinder, and it was, wow, it was smooth, quiet. I enjoyed it. Had to take it back on Thursday night to go get my Ford Explorer that I bought, a pre-owned car at Alan Samuels. Appreciated the customer service. David Gray, the general sales manager. Ted Teague, the CEO and general manager. And then also appreciate Eric in the service department They treated me great. Appreciated their customer service, and they have loaded cars from Ram trucks to Jeep and more. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
My go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Save big during the Start Something New sales event at Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Drive a new Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with $13,000 off or choose 0% financing. Get a new Laramie Crew Cab 4-wheel drive with 3.9% financing for 72 months plus $15,000 off MSRP. Explore in a new Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo starting at $31,990. Happening now at Alan Samuels.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
Marco's only uses premium toppings, which means your pizza isn't just flavorful, it's mushroom-full, or sausage-full, or pepperoni-full. And you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas from the place named America's favorite pizza chain starting at $8.99 every day, only at Marco's.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%.
Batteries for my fleet of trucks.
Gas floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels.
We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
.365 Sports on YouTube. Thanks for your time today. At 4:25, another national college basketball writer from the field of 68, Rob Doster, will join us. Dave McCann at 5 on many things BYU, including this story. Parker Kingston, the story last week that he was arrested, charged with rape, sexual assault. Then this story came down as the end of the week. As of Friday, Parker Kingston is no longer a student at Brigham Young University, is no longer a member of the football team. University administration and athletic administration, including head coach Kalani Sitake, were only made of aware of the investigation and the allegations against Kingston in his arrest this past Wednesday when the story came down. He is gone.
Yeah, he is. And I think that the last part there was important because you wonder how a guy's getting investigated for an entire year and nothing's come of it until it finally gets put out publicly. And that answers your question, is that they just weren't apparently aware of it. But I know that was something that when you're thinking about it initially, you're like, okay, well, what did BYU and what did they know? Or what did BYU know? What did they know when? If they knew about this, how is he playing an entire football season? I think that was pretty much cleared up, but with that answer, although I'm sure that won't be enough for some, especially Utah fans. So they'll continue to probably peck at that. But what they did or did not know, the outcome is still the same. And that sucks for BYU that they have lost a very talented player. It sucks for allegedly a young woman that she had to go through something horrific. All that will come out in the wash on the other side of the legal system. But at least as far as the allegation goes, if in fact that's proven to be true, that's where you start as far as the ugliness of it goes. But then being a sports show, yeah, from the sports side of things, That's a very big loss for their football team heading into next year. They showed they were a resilient bunch when the whole Jake Retzloff situation occurred, and they were able to just pivot to Bear Bachmeier and keep it moving. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they're able to do something similar this year, but I do think it's a ding for them from a talent perspective and an experience perspective. So two very different conversations. There's the real life part of this. There's the football part of this. That's real life to some degree. And it's just really ugly on the real life side of things. And we'll see what happens to Parker Kingston, the person, but we will not be seeing Parker Kingston, the football player at BYU ever again. And I didn't know for sure because there was a lot of the initial reporting coming out on Friday of exactly what was what and what was known and all of that. And then it wasn't until after the show was over I read that some more of the details that had come out. And so they did have sex. And he's, of course, saying that it was consensual, but there's the honor code right there. So it wasn't exactly 100% clear on that when we were talking about it last. But, yeah, pretty easy call, I think, for BYU given the subject matter and given that there was an honor code violation. And so pretty easy decision to make for them. I actually think the honor code's like kind of a gift and a curse. And like the one hand, you probably end up being maybe a little bit more harsh in some cases, like physically booting somebody out of school versus maybe some other places that would take a little bit slower. And stop me if you disagree here. But at the same time, you also just kind of cut bait and you're done with it. You don't like, well, he'll hang around and he'll just lift weights, or it's like, no, it's like done. So no matter what, like it's very clear cut, and there's no confusion on to how that works.
Yeah, I think that, if you're talking about regular consensual sex and you're not an LDS student, or if you are and you do that, it's pretty harsh. But in this particular instance, when these things happen, it protects them on the back end because they don't have okay, so your thing is you didn't break the actual law of the land. You just broke the rules here. So we have to let you go no matter what. So that protects them. That protects the school. It protects Kalani Sitake. It protects everybody from having to answer the questions we've seen so many coaches unable to answer over the years of, well, so if you knew about this, then what is going on here?
Yeah, because he played an entire season. I mean, he's one of their best players. So if this was all going on in the background, then it's only fair. And I would expect a BYU fan, if this happened at Utah, I know they would say the same thing. They'd go, why does Jeremy Smith play the entire year? So everybody was kind of wondering that, and they addressed that in their statement, which I pointed out a few minutes ago. But, yeah, once it went from what I initially saw was the accusation to how the accusation occurred to where in that accusation he's having to admit on his part that, yes, they did have sex, but that it was consensual. Well, that was the moment you knew that he wasn't going to play at BYU anymore, no matter what may actually be the truth or not. And I just hope, like I said on Friday, like I say with every case like this, whatever the truth is, I hope that's what's shining brightest at the end of this thing. If, in fact, he did what he's alleged to do, then throw him under the jail and let him rot. But if he's not, then I hope he gets his name cleared and is able to recover from this to some degree. That's all I hope for is for the truth and justice to persevere in the long run. And so I hope that's what happens. We'll see. I don't know if we'll wrap back around to this, a few months from now when it all gets settled or not. But, yeah, we will not be talking about Parker Kingston playing for BYU football this year. And so that's 2 years in a row where you've had a pretty major player go out on somewhat similar circumstances. And it's just unfortunate that this occurred at all and that we're having to talk about it.
It really is. They immediately reacted to it. And there's going to be some that how in the world can, with as big a university and those around Provo or Salt Lake City, et cetera, how would you know there's not an investigation? It can happen. I mean, it's very quiet when it comes to sexual assault charges, et cetera. That's the way it's supposed to be. But as soon as it went out, they're done. Gone.
Well, no, it shouldn't be. The local TV comes on and says, hey, by the way, there's an investigation. Salt Lake City PD is looking into Parker Kingston. Like, no, I mean, I can see where it would slip through. You think that if you are looking for reasons to believe that somebody would have heard something, that somebody at the police station says something that, that gets around eventually. But no, it doesn't appear to be the case. Best we could tell is just something that was being investigated behind the scenes. And nobody was very aware at all, if at all. So yeah, a pretty big bombshell lands in everybody's laps last week that Kalani Sitake has to then pivot and address. But that honor code pretty much keeps it out of his hands. So that's what I was saying a few moments ago, is I think that if you're innocent, then yeah, that's a bit harsh, but it does protect the school from any chance of any kind of funny business going on, because the moment's like, oh, you did have sex, whether it was willingly or not willingly, it doesn't matter. That's honor code violation, buddy. So you're out of here. And that I think keeps this pretty clean cut versus maybe if it had happened somewhere else and maybe there's a jostling. But post Bryles and Baylor, these things have all been pretty clear cut. And a big part of that was the fact that he had guys with alleged allegations. And yeah, you're right. People don't know about it. It's not like the police go around saying like, hey, by the way, Sam Ukuwachu, you don't know about it, but hey, this, like, yeah, they don't go around telling you that kind of thing. But we did learn that there were guys who had allegations that, well, they were still practicing. And is that right or wrong? Like it's not, he's not proven guilty. Whereas with like, instead of there being this gray area of well, he's been accused, but he technically hasn't been proven guilty. And maybe she's like, BYU's just like, boom, it doesn't matter. Case closed. And that's where I think they benefit from that honor code, as strict as it may be.
Yeah.
Because there's no gray area.
Yeah. You don't, I don't know if there's the perfect way to handle it other than try not to make sure you don't try to cover anything up and push it under the rug. If you know something, you do something. And yet again, there's legal parts of any kind of I guess, an investigation like that one. Then Sacramento State, I got to tell you, in the last, 8 to 12 months or so, they have been probably said more than I ever thought I would. Good for them. They're trying. Over the weekend and today, it became official that they were going to join the MAC. And an $18 million entry fee was the thought in year one. Ross Dellinger updated that. It is $18 million. It will be an entry fee. The first $6 million due as they sign the agreement, a 5-year deal. And they will be football only. They will not be a part of any of the conference distribution. They will cover all of the travel cost of visiting teams from the MAC. I don't know what their budget is. I don't know how much revenue they had. I've tried to read some stories on that. I read a story with Matt Brown from Extra Points. But Sacramento State joining the MAC effective immediately.
Good for them. I mean, good for Sacramento State. Lord knows they've been trying. I mean, the public push has been very clear now for going on nearly 2 years. They've been in the news more in the last 2 years than at any time in my long life at this point. So I said Friday, if you had, like, at any random ass point in 5-10 years said, Craig, tell me everything you know about Sacramento State, including whether they're FBS or FCS, I wouldn't have been able to tell you probably much of anything at all. I would have had to have actually gone, is there a Sacramento? Yeah, no, I think I've seen them on the bottom scroll of ESPN. That would be my extent of knowledge of Sacramento State, and I've heard more about them in the last year and a half than I've heard about them in decades, I'll put it that way, prior to that. So they've made a lot of noise. Now they're making the big move they wanted so badly. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at this. I'll just first look at it by saying congrats to Sacramento State on getting what they wanted ultimately. I mean, not the grand ambition of getting into an even bigger league at some point in time. I think that's still a ways to go, if even possible at all. But this is a first step that they needed to take to at least go on that journey. And they were a team without a home there without that. So the landing spot to get to the MAC was good for them. And now on the other side of it, I'll see if all they're saying actually makes sense in the long run, because I know there's a lot of people side-eyeing some of their estimates and some of their figures and some of what they're saying they're going to pay and the many millions that they're going to be paying to then go turn around and earn this many millions that they're claiming. And I'm not a business guy or a math genius, so it's just numbers that I'm seeing. But yeah, we'll see. I guess this was their school president who was saying that the entrance fee will be paid by game guarantees and other football revenue. Football pays for football, no student fees, no general fund.
That's awesome.
An estimated economic impact of $975 million and a national broadcast value of $675 million over the next 5 years. So that's where I would like to stop and go. We're going to need some clarification on this, because it's clearly not $675 over the next 5 years for just you. I guess that's talking about I don't. That's not even for the MAC. Is it 675 over 5 years? I don't know what their deal is, but the estimated economic impact of nearly $1 billion. I'd have to see more research into that. That sounds like a larger number than I think I would have guessed originally. They'll now have games on ESPN and CBS Sports, and they'll be in the NCAA video game. And he also said they will generate revenue that will help academics. 15% of new net revenue to go towards offering more classes beginning in 2027. So I don't know that all those figures check out as far as like, there's probably some details that are just missing from that because, there's no chance in hell they're getting $675 million in broadcast value unless they're talking about the entire league over 5 years. So that part, he just didn't get into the details of it, but we'll see. I mean, we'll find out, I think, very quickly if this is going to be something where they sink or they swim because they're putting a lot of money out on the table and maybe they hit big and they get that right hand and this is the lottery ticket that they needed to fully, let their hair down and just turn into this incredible football program, or they might find themselves here in a few years going, oh, wow, we have no money and we wasted it all on trying to make this move to FPS. And this was a disaster. This was a terrible decision by an egomaniac president. Like it could go either one of those ways, I feel like at this point, but just for right now, good for them for getting their landing spot, and we'll see how it works out for them.
Can either one of you tell me, and this is large numbers of miles, the closest school proximity in the MAC to Sacramento State and just about how many miles?
I would say Toledo, maybe?
Toledo's 2,271 miles. They're fourth.
Okay. I'm trying to go west of the MAC. Western Michigan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You got your geography. 2,177 miles is the closest team for Sacramento State in the MAC.
Yeah, and they've got a UMass is in Buffalo or in the MAC.
UMass is the furthest, almost 3,000, almost completely from one side of the coast to the other.
So, would you guys like to play some Sacramento State alumni trivia?
Oh God. No. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. There are two of these that you would know, Smokey. I'm not going to.
Are you going to give me
questions.
some clues?
Okay. This is. He's now the former anchor of NBC Nightly News, but he was the most recent one.
Brokaw?
No. After Brokaw, Ryan Williams. After Brian Williams.
God, you know what? I have to tell you.
Lester Holt.
I don't watch network news.
Okay.
No kidding. You just pulled Tom Brokaw.
Well, no, but no. Hold on. How long ago was that, though?
That's long time.
Long time ago.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay. This one you'll know. Former co-host of Good Morning America. Very tall lady.
Is she the one who is that battled cancer? The athlete?
I can't remember. No. That's not Robin Robert.
Okay.
Very tall blonde lady.
Joan London.
There you go.
That's good.
Okay.
Good.
Director of Black Panther and Creed, Ryan Coogler.
Okay.
Director of the most recent film was The Rip, Joe Carnahan. And this one, he attended. He's not an alum, but he attended. He is in films such as.
Okay, I'm out.
No. You'll get this one. I'm gonna give you a guess. He's in Philadelphia, but he's not who you're thinking of.
It's not Tom Hanks.
It is Tom Hanks.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say Denzel Washington, who's also in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay. With that being said, and I don't know about athletically about Sacramento State. When you brought up films and movies, I brought this up earlier, Paul. Favorite one. I know it's impossible. Robert Duvall passed away at 95 today.
Okay, what was my dog's name?
Woodrow.
Okay, that was not his character, but his character's best friend, Woodrow F. Call. Lonesome Dove is my favorite. Yep. And it is, I'll tell you, it was my dad's favorite actor. So I've seen pretty much everything he's ever done. I was looking down the list today, and there's a couple things I need to go back and watch because maybe I didn't finish them. But I will tell you, for me, it's Lonesome Dove, The Godfather Part 2, Then a great movie he did called Secondhand Lions with Michael Caine. It is absolutely wonderful and very heartwarming. And then The Judge, which is a movie he did recently with Robert Downey Jr. that I think actually you would like. It's a very, very good movie. So there's so many. Network is great. The Great Santini is great. Apocalypse Now is legendary. So many things. But Lonesome Dove's the number one. Because it's just such a memory for me and my dad. But The Godfather's up there too, because it's the first R-rated movie I was allowed to watch because it was Italian. That was how we got through some of my mom's rules. My dad was like, how is he going to learn to be Italian without seeing The Godfather? So there we go.
So I didn't know this. He had 1 Academy Award win.
Won 6 nominations, which he should have. I would have given him 1 if I was in the Academy for a movie he did called The Apostle. That's really, really good. He made it, financed it himself. But
Tender Mercies in 1983 was how when he won his Academy Award.
Another great one. The movie around him may not have been that great, like Gone in 60 Seconds, but he was always great in the movie that he was in. Like, he would never, ever say that, like, damn, Duvall sucked in that. It was never going to be the case. He was always going to be one of the best parts of the movie, no matter what. One of the greats that's ever lived.
Yep.
Ever in a million years. A little bit of Waco trivia as well on Robert Duvall. When country artist Billy Joe Shaver shot a guy in the face in a bar fight, Willie Nelson and Robert Duvall came here to be character witnesses, and ultimately he was exonerated because Willie Nelson and Gus from Lonesome Dove said, the guy probably had it coming. So that was what they got. Billy Joe Shaver, who I once introduced, and he jumped on my back at a concert.
It's a little bit close.
Yeah, I was scared. He came up behind me.
Yep.
It was out here. It was very close to our studio. It was out here at Indian Spring Park. It was like Memorial Day weekend or something. There's a country concert they had me introduce. And I said, ladies and gentlemen, the legendary Billy Joe Shaver. And he jumped. I mean, this is an 80-year-old man, jumped on my back and then started singing Fast Train to Georgia on a Fast Train. And I've never gotten over it.
Duvall served in the United States Army for a couple of years. His father was a Naval Academy graduate. So Robert Duvall, dead, passed away at 95.
Here's another thing. Gene Hackman, Robert Duvall, and Dustin Hoffman were all, and Dustin Hoffman's 88. He was the youngest one. All friends and struggling actors in New York in the 50s, in the late 50s. And they all thought, well, Hackman, who is a legend, and Hoffman, who's a legendary actor, thought that Robert Duvall ran circles around them both.
Wow. Yeah. To Kill a Mockingbird. Did you bring that?
He was Boo Radley. He doesn't show up. That's his first movie. He doesn't show up until the very, 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 very end of the movie. But it's him. He's Boo Radley.
All right. Thank you, Paul. I knew you'd have quite a bit with Robert Duvall. One other note on Sacramento State. There's a lot of questions. Sam Herder, I tried to get him on. He's the one that runs that site, does a great job covering FCS. The top 3 most likely FCS schools to eventually make a jump to FBS, if that ever happens, because we don't know what the future is going to be like with the separation or whatever it might be. Sacramento State would be 1. Tarleton State, about a couple hours from here in Stephenville, and UC Davis. Those are the 3 that he said. And Illinois State is a possible dark horse if they were to try to jump and get up into the FBS.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of schools trying to do that here, knowing what's coming to some degree with realignment in 3-4 years. And I saw a lot of Pac fans talking about the fact that they didn't want Sacramento State. And so that's why Sacramento State's having to look around and nobody in their geography really wants them. And that's why you're seeing them go over and buy their way into the MAC, but they got their spot just like SMU got their spot, and others will attempt to, I'm sure, do the same thing, just probably won't have the ability to splurge and spend all the money that Sacramento State's spending to get there, but they believe in their vision and their plan. Like I said, when you see those numbers originally, their president responded to somebody saying these things don't add up, $975 million and $675 million for this TV deal, and it's like, okay, is this like the entirety of the TV deal for every team in the MAC over like a 10-year period? Because math ain't mathin', But he said that they had like college consulting group that put those projections out there on like the tourism and all that. But yeah, they're paying they're paying their way in. They're paying for travel. They're paying for other schools' bills in some cases. And we'll see if they're able to sustain that and turn it into some profitability and a bigger brand, which is obviously their goal here is to be as big of a brand as they can be. Or we could be talking about in a few years of the math didn't math and they are back to the island of misfit toys or something. I don't know, but I respect the grind of the last couple of years of trying to get in, just like with SMU. And I will not be shocked at all if we see more trying to do that before the portal closes, so to speak, on realignment here in the next few years. But yeah, UC Davis was one that was very widely mentioned for the Pac when they were expanding. And I think, I want to say this for sure, but I did see a debate at one point about why UC Davis was even better than Sacramento State because Sacramento State was fighting somebody about that. Like, I don't know if that's correct or not, but both of those schools out west were trying to find landing spots, and Sac State has theirs.
By the way, the $18 million deal, $6 million the first year, there's also a $5 million tag from the NCAA to pay to move up. Also, now they have 13 teams, Northern Illinois, leaving for the Mountain West. You have SMU who paid their way in. You then had recently North Dakota State paid their way in, and now Sacramento State as everybody tries to get in. Of course, SMU in a really, really good spot with the ACC.
I think it also be worth mentioning, though, they paid their way into the MAC. SMU paid their way into the Power Conference. So I know that Sac State didn't have the ability to do that, but their hope has got to be now to then turn this into a leap to then the Pac or something down the line. And I don't know how realistic that is for them, but had to start somewhere. And UC Davis has a conference, but I just mean that they've been one of those also trying to better their position. And so you're going to see a lot of that over these next few years. The schools that are capable of improving themselves and putting on the nicest makeup they can for the suitors, they're going to be doing everything they can here in the next 2-3 years to try to move their way up or convince somebody to invite them to move up, because I just think there's that overwhelming feeling that maybe there's not a clean break, but if you want to be a part of what you consider a college football nowadays, you need to be at a certain level. And I think Sacramento State now feels like they're at least in that ballpark, whereas they weren't before when they were, basically without a home.
Paul, I know that the camera's not going to pick this up, but there's the map of the United States, and there's all of the MAC up here. And, of course, that little sliver of California, which is not a little sliver, with Sacramento State. By the way, over the weekend on Friday night, a young man named Tyce Armstrong from Baylor hit 3 grand slams in one game. It tied an NCAA record from 50 years ago. Had a chance to visit with him for a few minutes. It wasn't very long, thanks to Garrett Ross giving us some time on Saturday. We'll have that later in the show. Dave McCann on BYU. But coming up, Rob Doster, The Field of 68, which is a phenomenal basketball podcast when it comes to men's basketball, and a site too. That's next. He's next. This is 365 Sports. QC Kinetics. I played golf yesterday morning. I had no issues with achy, pain, soreness, or whatever. Worked out on Saturday, no issues. I actually jogged a little bit. I don't go very far. I used to run quite a bit. No issues. QC Kinetics has done what I needed them to do and what they said they could do, and I'm going to tell you why. You see the commercials with Roger Clemens in the Hall of Fame. Well, not in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but what it's done for him and his body. Advanced cellular regenerative medicine. Worked on my lower back. I've had this hip thing for 4, 5, or 6 years. It's gone. It is gone. QC Kinetics. Go get a consultation. It is free. It is worth the time. Start living your life again. Stop waking up and going, stop kicking the can down the road with the steroid injections in your back that may last for even maybe 2 to 5 weeks, or sometimes maybe a month or two. QC Kinetics delivers regenerative treatments that actually help your body repair with your own body, your own biologics inside of you. They will spin blood, plasma, stem cells. I have an appointment next week, my next treatment, and it's just basically just maintenance now. QC Kinetics is a place that can help you. I've told you about, I was on the treadmill walking, and a guy goes, "Hey, your hip is okay?" "Yeah." about the 42-year-old who's had all sorts of problems with every joint he has, going to have surgery and replacements. QC Kinetics can prevent that. Locations in both Dallas and Houston. The numbers on the bottom of the screen. In Dallas, it's 972-972-8610, 713-913-5286. I have had no issues being active as much as I can be, where I couldn't have a day where I worked out, played golf, or did anything without some sort of aches or pains by the end of the day. QC Kinetics, free consultation, 972-972-8610, 713-913-5286.
25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At BK Ford, we step onto the field every day for our customers. Here, legends are born and glory is earned. The spirit of competition unites us all as we stand as one. It's more than a truck, it's a passion. Get ready for the thrill, the triumphs, and the unforgettable moments that only BK Ford can deliver. Are you ready to experience better? BK Ford.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
This is 365 Sports.
.365 Sports on this Monday, a brand new week. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. If you want to, in the chat room, what was your favorite part of the weekend? Was it something you watched in sports? Was it maybe a sport that you don't get into as much, or something that you accomplished individually? I was able to play golf, as I said, on Sunday morning. I worked my guts out on Saturday, going through some tedious work to get ready for release some high school football teams for the 2025 season. What was it this past weekend that you accomplished that was the best thing that you did? We'd love to hear from you on that. I know one thing, and we're awaiting Rob Doster to join us. Do you know I didn't watch a single second of anything NBA weekend?
You could have said you didn't watch anything of anything. We would all have believed you because you so rarely watch stuff. But yeah,
it's not that I don't watch it. I have it on. I have it on in the background. I'm working my ass off, man. I watched some of the college basketball and golf, on a lot of golf yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the NBA is at a point where it'll be interesting to see, I guess, what the ratings are. They're still getting good ratings, but even the people watching know that the product is absolute dog crap at this point. The tanking to the point where you're having to find teams all this money to just give an effort, but yet they're incentivized to all tank. So now you've got to completely rearrange the system, and that's what they're going to now have to try to figure out how to do, is to change how draft picks are determined, because the way things are set up now, it's just, there's no reason to not tank if you're some of these teams. So they found themselves with a situation they've got to kind of figure out now, or otherwise they do potentially risk further damage to the product. But you see the headlines, it's like NBA ratings trending over 2025. And I mean, I'm sure some of that's the deals that they cut, and then the having more TVs available because you're on NBC on Sunday night versus what you were doing prior, and things like that. But every headline I saw coming out of All-Star Weekend had very little to do with the game and had to do with just Giannis Antetokounmpo doing Kalshi investments. So basically he's directly involved in gambling, even though it's not gambling. It's absolutely gambling is what it is. They just use words to make it sound like it's not that, but it absolutely is. And I will not hear otherwise. No, it's just prediction market bullshit. It's gambling as much as gambling is gambling, but that's fine. We would welcome Kalshi as a sponsor. So you got Giannis involved in that. So that's something that's just kind of stinks, right? That you've got a guy invested in something that he could very easily be involved with on the court at any moment in time. You got an All-Star game that no one gives a you-know-what about. You've got multiple teams not even trying at all, to the point where you're having to publicly embarrass them and fine them. You've got stars complaining about lack of effort in the All-Star game. It's just, it's a weird time, but they'll do what a lot of other businesses do. It's like, oh, it sucks for the consumer, but we're making more money than ever.
Yeah.
So we don't know what you're talking about. It seems like it's great. Like, I don't know. We're making a whole lot of money here, so it's not that bad. But I think the product is at a point now where they very much need to have some big things change for them.
I would not watch the NBA All-Star Weekend if it was playing on the back of my eyelids most of the time. Yeah. I still think the dunk contest and three-point contest are cool. But as far as the game, they asked Anthony Edwards, like, hey, are you guys going to, is the effort going to raise or whatever? And he basically said, look, if that's what you're looking for, you may not want to watch. Like, he was painfully honest about it, which Edwards often is. But this just no. And here's the thing: if I can watch the Olympics, which is country versus country versus country, where people like super care and this is their lifelong dream, as opposed to the NBA All-Star game, I'll watch curling. I'll watch that over whatever else.
Curling is probably my favorite Olympic winter sport now at this point, because I don't know. There's something's missing from the Olympics this go around for me. I'm just not that interested in it, and I'm watching it, but I don't feel the patriotism I typically feel. I don't feel like the excitement to go watch certain events that I typically would. I don't have a lot of care factor for it this go round, and I don't know if that's reflective for a lot of other people in the TV ratings or whatnot. I guess we'll see as those come out. But we're hitting the final week of the Olympics, and I'm like, I don't know. It's not at all what I was hoping for.
I would not have even known it was the final week.
We as USA, we're in third place in medals right now. We haven't kind of gotten to the stuff that we're good at. By the way, we have a guy named Jordan Stoltz who's a speed skater who's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's good.
And
he's Eric Heiden now, right?
Yeah. And an absolute rock star in the Netherlands, where speed skating is the national sport. Didn't know that until this weekend. And so there's a lot. There's a lot with it and a lot of cool stories. But ultimately, Craig, I kind of get your vibe because there's not like a big, will we win hockey? Will we do this? I think the ladies have a great shot. I think they're going to have to play Canada tomorrow, but or the next day, whenever that is. But yeah, it's harder because these sports, especially for people who live in the region of the country that we do, we don't know these sports at all. Like, if you guys told me, hey, let's go luge this week, I'm like, where?
Yeah,
Canada, Sweden will play. Canada will play United States on Thursday.
That hasn't stopped me from enjoying it before, though. Like right. I'm not enjoying it as much this time around. I'm not sure why that is exactly. It's just, it's just sort of there. And the NBA is whatever. If the Olympics is just sort of there, the NBA is like it exists. I know that, but I have nothing else to say about it.
I don't even know half the time what they're doing as far as how they keep score, et cetera. You'd think that'd be fundamentally pretty easy to know. Rob Doster, great college basketball analyst. Field of 68 joins us on 365 Sports. Rob, thank you very much for your time. I know a lot going on. What now, some 24 hours later, is your thought about the situation with K-State and Jerome Tang?
Oh, man. Well, one, there's going to be a little bit of a lengthy legal fight here as they argue over whether or not Jerome Tang violated the terms of his contract, which frankly he did not. This is just Kansas State trying to find a little bit of legalese in a way to be able to save themselves some money because they owe him $18.6 million or something along those lines of buyout money. So they're trying to save themselves a little bit by paying a couple of extra billable hours to lawyers' fees. So every single time one of these things pop up, guys, I always sit here and I say to myself, why did I decide to do content on college hoops on the internet instead of become a lawyer where I could charge $2,000 an hour to go argue about whether or not Jerome Tang criticizing players in a press conference embarrassed and brought disrepute to the university, which it did not. The way that those players played brought disrepute to the university, but that's a different topic. I feel for him. I like Jerome. I like that staff. I like those guys. It just didn't work. We kind of saw the writing on the wall with the way that this thing went. They had money to spend. The investments that they made didn't work as well as you probably would have hoped, but things like that happen in the world of college basketball. The tough thing is, in this day and age, you don't get 6, 7, 8 years to be able to build a program. When you can reboot as quickly as Kansas State did, and we saw them do it that first year when they had Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson, when you can reboot it that quickly, you got to be able to make it happen and get something sustainable going faster than Tang did. So I don't think that he would necessarily be surprised that this is the way that it kind of went. It's unfortunate, like I said. I'm a big fan of the human being Jerome Tang, but I think that it was probably best for both sides that this thing kind of went the way that it went.
So, Rob, looking in both directions, do you think there's a strong chance Jerome Tang could reunite with Scott Drew down in Waco, or what do you think the future holds for him as far as I'm sure he'll take a deep breath, get the money part figured out, and then go from there? And then on the other side for Kansas State, when you hear a job open up in K-State's the job, what did your mind immediately go towards as far as names go?
There are a lot of names that make sense for any number of jobs that are going to open up, whether it's Jared Calhoun at Utah State, whether it's somebody like a Josh Schertz at St. Louis. I think that there's going to be a pretty strong year for some of these high majors that open up. And the benefit of making this move early, the way that they did, means that you're going to have the opportunity to go out and try to make a hire a little bit earlier in the process, or at least get something done. It's not going to, if you're hiring Josh Schertz, you're probably not bringing him in until after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament is over. I think that he's going to be that good with St. Louis, but you'll be able to have something in place where you can kind of get ahead of it a little bit, right? I don't know if Josh Schertz would end up taking Kansas State. The question is going to be, and you're going to hear this debated a lot, how good is the Kansas State basketball job? And my personal opinion is that it's top half, if not top third, of the Big 12 because of the resources and the money that is available there. Before going there, I had no idea how much money there was in cattle in central Kansas. I had no idea how much money there was behind Kansas State football and Kansas State basketball. And I think that if you get in somebody that is going to be able to make the right additions in the portal, make smart decisions when it comes to where you're going to invest and how you're going to build a roster, and then can coach them up afterwards, I think you're looking at a situation where you got a team that can be competitive at the top of the Big 12. And we saw that in year one with Jerome Tang in that Kansas State season, the year that they made the Elite Eight, right? So it's possible to win there. And I'll tell you this, guys, when you are winning there, those fans will get behind you. The Octagon of Doom is called the Octagon of Doom for a reason. And, I was at the game when Kansas State beat Kansas in overtime. I think it was 2023. It was Tang's first year there. And that place was as loud. That environment was as good as any that I've been to this side of Kansas and Cameron Indoor Stadium. And if you can find someone that is going to be able to get that crowd reinvigorated and get that fan base reinvigorated by putting a product on the floor that they want to go support and get excited about, then I think you're going to have a chance to be able to win. And because of the money that's there, I think you'll be able to put together the roster that you need to put together.
Well, they've had Weber, and before him Martin, and then Tang take him to an Elite Eight, and then of course we know the history of K-State as well. Speaking of the top portion of the Big 12, it's been good for a long, long time, but it also was pretty good in the midsection. That's a little bit softer now because, Rob, the top 5 or 6 teams in the Big 12 are just all really good. And tonight, Houston and Iowa State names.
Oh yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm sitting here in a hotel room right now in Ames, Iowa. I'm actually looking out. I got a beautiful view of the back side of a shopping plaza. So I'm seeing a lot of like air conditioning vents out there. I'm seeing a lot of parking lots. And I'll tell you this, there's some really nice parking lots. And when I'm coming from New Jersey, it hasn't been warmer than 35 degrees in 3.5 weeks there. And I walked outside of my hotel today and it was 70 degrees. I got shorts on right now, fellas. I got shorts. Wow. I had lunch outside. I had a delicious buffalo chicken salad over at it's called Doors by Dublin. I'm actually looking at that restaurant out this window too. So I got sidetracked talking about how nice it is in Iowa. No, this game tonight is going to be awesome. You have 2 top 6 teams facing off, 2 of the best teams in the Big 12 facing off, and 2 teams that play pretty similar styles, right? Like they both want to trap ball screens aggressively, really aggressively. They both want to trap the post really aggressively, and they both understand how to be able to play against a defense like that, right? I think what we saw with Ohio State playing Kansas is that Kansas was not ready for the level of aggressiveness that Iowa State was going to have defensively, and they weren't ready for the impact that was going to have on them kind of physically. And I thought that Iowa State was able to overwhelm Kansas. I don't think that is going to be something that happens against Houston, because Houston they know how to play against it because they do the exact same thing. So this is going to be one of the better matchups that we get in college basketball this season. I'm fired up for it. I've never been to Hilton Coliseum, and I'm really excited to experience what that atmosphere and what that environment is truly like.
I have a good feeling you're going to have rave reviews regardless of outcome, because everybody I've heard that ever goes to Hilton always comes back just talking about how awesome it is. And being as big of a basketball fan as you are, that's going to be very cool to hear your reaction to what unfolds tonight. Your thoughts on Arizona and Texas Tech the other night and what came out of that? I mean, Arizona now with a couple of losses back-to-back after the long unbeaten streak. Cole Pete gets hurt. Still get to overtime, and the Red Raiders win it. Just kind of how did you unpack that game, Rob? And do you have any concern with Arizona slipping of late? How do you just kind of sort between these 2 teams in the big picture?
I don't really have concerns about Arizona. I don't think that they're infallible. And, I think that there started to be a narrative that this was by far the best team in college basketball. I don't think that that's necessarily true. I don't think there is a by far the best team in college basketball. I think Arizona is and I still do believe that they are right there among one of the best teams in college basketball, if not the best team in college basketball. But the difference between them and like the 12th best team is not as big as it was a year ago. I fully expect that they'll be back, and I fully expect that this is once Cole Pete gets healthy, they'll be competing for titles again. I think it said more about Texas Tech, to be honest, fellas. I think Texas Tech has the best closing lineup in college basketball. And what I mean by that is You have a point guard that is big enough to get his own shot, that thrives in ball screens, and that makes good decisions. And you got a 5-man who can get his own shot in the post, who is going to force you to make a decision on whether or not you want to double team him, can pass out of those double teams, and also happens to be among the best short rollers in college basketball. Like when they run a ball screen and you throw that little pocket past him and he gets the ball around the JT Toppin around the foul line area, he's just unstoppable. He makes the right reads. He makes floaters. He can go finish above the rim. He hits a lot of shots where it's like, I played perfect defense. I don't know how he got that off and it still went in. So when you combine those two with the fact that they're just complete knockdown shooters around them, they have a lineup that can close out games among the best of them. Now, depth is an issue. Defense is an issue. Foul trouble is going to end up being an issue. So they're far from perfect. And I don't know if they can necessarily win 6 straight, but I do know that they can beat anybody in the sport because they've done that. They beat Duke in a Duke-friendly Madison Square Garden after trailing by 17, and they beat Arizona in the McHale Center after trailing by 7 with 3 minutes left. They can beat anybody in the sport, and I think if I had to, if you're going to put a gun to my head, I think that this year is going to be similar to what we saw from them last year in the tournament, in the sense that they can make a deep run. They're going to be able to hang with anybody, and it's going to be close, but I don't know if they necessarily have enough to get to a Final Four, but I would not be shocked if they do.
Rob, the game coming up on Saturday, there's Big 12's got some great ones, but Michigan and Duke in a collision course in a late, kind of mid-late season non-conference game. Your thoughts about those two?
I mean, look, it's Monday night tonight, right? And we have 4 of the top 7 teams in college basketball playing. And it's not even the best day of the week for college hoops, because on Saturday, Arizona and Houston, who are 2 of the top 3 teams in the sport, are playing, and then Duke and Michigan, who are 2 of the top 4 teams in the sport, are playing. Like this is everything you want out of college basketball in mid-February. This is everything that you want out of this sport. And I will say this, guys, outside of Saturday, I think every single one of these matchups, and correct me if I'm wrong, but every single one of these matchups where we kind of went into it saying, man, I think this is going to be a fun game. I'm pretty excited about being able to watch this game and being able to watch this matchup and being able to watch these 2 teams play. Every single time you've said that about a game, the game is delivered, right? The game has, the product on the court has been as good as the hype leading up to it. And that's not normal. Like, normally we get a lot of blowouts. Normally you get a lot of games that end up being 15-point wins for the home team. And that has not happened this year. And I really, really hope that continues this week. And I especially, fellas, hope that happens tonight in Ames. Give me an all-time classic game in Ames tonight. Can I just get that one time?
Yeah.
One time. Can I use my one time on it tonight? Is that allowed? Is that acceptable?
Yeah, hey, might as well ask for it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask, right? So hopefully that delivers, because, man, I'd love to see some Hilton magic tonight, unless, of course, you're on the other side of it. But, yeah, just as far as a magical game, I think we'd all be lined up for that. Richie Saunders and the injury to him, season over, college career over, BYU still with some very talented players, Rob, but, like, big picture, how much does this shake them up, losing Richie Saunders?
On the one hand, they were a really top-heavy team, right? They got 3 stars, and they don't have a ton of role players. So it's not like you have guys that are going to be in a position to kind of step in. And Richie Saunders is not someone that you can replace. Like, this dude is an All-American, potential Big 12 first-team all-conference guy, probably going to be a first-round pick, and for my money, going to be a 10-year pro. And you don't just replace that with somebody off the bench. Right? You don't just say, hey, AJ, you're already averaging 24 points a game. You got to average 27 for us now. And Robert Wright, we're going to need 39 out of you every night like he gave him against Colorado. I think this is a massive blow for BYU's spacing. It's a massive blow for the level of balance they have in terms of scoring. And frankly, it's a massive blow for the sport, man. Like, he's a fun player. He's a great kid. And not having him around is not a good thing for college basketball. So hopefully he can get the surgery, he can get himself healed, he can get himself healthy, and by the time we get to this point next year, he is on an NBA roster cashing NBA checks somewhere, because you got to remember what this is going to cost him. It's going to cost him an NBA draft process. It's going to cost him the opportunity to get some of those workouts, and there's a very real chance that it costs him an opportunity to be a first-round pick. So I really, really feel for that kid. It sucks.
Rob, I saw you retweet something Kevin Sweeney said about K-State and the cause of whatever yesterday. We had him on about an hour ago, and I asked him this question. I'll ask you. Have you not been to what arena have you not been to that you have to still make sure you eventually do?
That I haven't been to? So I haven't been to the Kennel in Spokane. I haven't been to a Gonzaga home game. And that's one of them. I haven't been to in the WCC. I haven't been to Moraga. I haven't seen St. Mary's play at home, which is one I have to get to at some point. I haven't been to the Fog since probably 2016, which absolutely needs to change, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit publicly. So anybody listening to this, please don't tell anyone. This is going to stay between us, right?
I'm putting it on Twitter right now, actually.
Yeah, right. I haven't been to the Breslin Center for a game. I haven't been to the Yum Center for a game. So I got a lot left on my bucket list that I got to get done, and find a way. I haven't been to BYU for a game. Like I have a lot on my list that I need to make happen here in the next couple of years.
Rob, you can't see me on camera today because I have to produce, but this is Paul, Catalina. If you want to come, I told Kevin this. I'm going to be at the Fog on Monday, next Monday for the Houston game. Come on out. We'll hang out.
Yeah, that won't be bad, man. That'll be a good one. The Big 12, like the next week and a half in the Big 12 is absolutely nuts. There's 17 different places that I think I want to be, and I'm very jealous of like the ESPN broadcast crews that get to go around and just like go and watch all these games, and their job is to kind of sit there and press buttons in the background while watching this game and experience this game. So that seems like a pretty cool job. Maybe we should do that once we're done getting our law degrees, so we can go make all of this money, all these billable hours, and then we're able to just kind of to glide off into retirement. Let's have that be our jobs, where we just go around and sit around and watch college basketball games. You guys in with me? We'll rent an RV.
Yep.
We'll put a smoker on the back of it.
Oh,
we'll do this thing right.
Get a big flat screen that comes out the side or it's inside.
Yeah, see, you get it, man. You understand.
Yeah. Tom Mars made a comment about the K-State firing Jerome Tang for cause. And like a few minutes later, Pete Thamel says that Jerome Tang has retained Tom Mars.
Yeah, it says in the quote, if K-State's president and AD really think the school is embarrassed by recent events, that's nothing compared to the embarrassment that both of them are about to experience. That's from Pete Thamel.
Yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah. Hey,
that's
Rob,
why Tang hired him, man. That's why Tang hired him.
That's exactly right. You guys do a great job. It's a great website. Thanks for your time. We'll tell Jeff Goodman I'll be in touch about interviewing 101 and fundamentals at some point here in the next couple of days. Oh, my God. I had to say
You're
that.
much better than Jeff Goodman. I promise you that.
Thank you, Rob Doster. Thefield68.com. Every night, basketball season. Sometimes they'll do like an emergency pod. They do a great job. Terrence Oglesby's on that too. Now, I told you about Baylor first baseman Tyce Armstrong, who hit 3 grand slams in one game. First time it's been done, and only the second time in the history of college baseball, first time in 50 years. Saturday, I'm sitting around. I text Garrett. I say, hey, what are you doing? Wanted to grab. That's a different deal. 3 grand slams in a game. Had a chance to visit with him. We'll have Dave McCann on BYU Everything in about 10 minutes. Here's the conversation for about 5 minutes with Baylor first baseman Ty Armstrong. Armstrong, man. So I'm just kind of minding my own business last night. I was not at the game. And I had somebody, Kevin Gall, who's in athletics administration, sent me a text that, hey, this guy from Baylor, first year, just hit his 2nd grand slam. And then it wasn't much longer. What has the last, 18 hours or so been like for you?
It's been pretty unreal. I mean, a lot of people that I've played baseball with, family and friends, they've been reaching out. I mean, a lot of brands have been reaching out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so is it almost overwhelming in a way? Is this and I want to get to the pitches you hit out too, because that was also something to me that's a part of the story. But did you sleep? I know you had family in town. So give me a post game.
Post game, I got to see my girlfriend, my family. My brother's getting married this weekend, so I had all my dad's side from Canada, my mom's side from all around the U.S. So it was really cool to see them. They don't really get to see me play much, so having them there was awesome. And then after, I just got some food, went home, and tried to shut my phone off, get some sleep.
You had a good friend of ours that used to work with us at Q. your boy Q did a late night interview with you. I saw that too on a national show. And this is national. We're on YouTube or throughout the country. What was that like?
It was awesome. I mean, I got the text from Max that said, hey, these guys want to reach out and have you on the radio. And I've definitely never been on the radio before. So pretty cool opportunity.
Did you sleep well, or did you keep like waking up trying to figure out if it was a dream?
No, I slept great. I turned the phone off, turned the TV off, and just tried to go out. So,
all right. So this record that you just tied, which is hard to imagine what you did, and then it's hard to imagine anyone else had ever done it before, by Jim LaFontaine from Louisville, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was 50 years ago, Tyce. 50 years ago. Did you even know? Here's a shot of it right here. There's one that's the first one. Did you even know somebody else had done that, or was that even on your mind?
I mean, it wasn't even close on my mind. I had no idea. I found out I think it was Max. He came up to me right after the game ended and said, you're the second guy to ever do that. So really, really cool opportunity.
All right, we're about to see the third one. Now, you already have two. And this one here, this shows the power. You already have shown the power, don't get me wrong. But this next one here is shoulder high. Here it is, gone. Not even that, like, no doubt. So you hit a one low and in, a belt high fastball, and then up and shoulder high. 3 different pitches. Was it just it looked like a softball when it was coming in?
Yeah, I mean, swing's been feeling really good. I've been working with the coaches, and they've got me right, and it just felt great last night.
So you came in to Baylor, part of the transfer portal. Take me through that recruitment and why Baylor.
Well, honestly, it was a really easy decision. I talked to a few other schools, a lot of great coaches, and it was a very cool opportunity to go around and see other places. But I knew Coach Darren Thomas, he's our coach here, and he was my head coach my freshman year at UT Arlington. So I've known him for the past 6 years. He recruited me. And Coach Blair, he was my summer ball coach my freshman year summer in Liberal, Kansas. And Coach Thompson, he recruited me in high school and a few years when he was at McLennan. So, I mean, I already knew 3 out of the 4 coaches, and Coach Dillon is from the Houston area. I've known him for a while too, so.
Well, Rich Thompson took over this program. He had unbelievable success. He was at Baylor under Steve Smith, and then, of course, with McLennan, won a national title and had a great success there. They're trying to get this program back. You know the story.
Yes,
What's
sir.
been the thought? It's just the first game. Long. You got a game tonight on Saturday night. What's been the thought of trying to bring a luster and success back to the program?
Definitely. I mean, we definitely want to bring this program back to what it used to be, and we definitely can do that. But we're focused on just staying one pitch at a time, one game at a time, and just doing our jobs, and then we'll get to that point if we can.
You had, 3 years at UTA?
Yes, sir. 4 years, sorry.
4 years. 17 home runs in 4 years. I'm pretty good in math. That's 4.25 a year. You have 3 last night. Why?
I can't explain it. It's surreal.
And now the next thing, and I'm sure your hitting coach and everybody's going to say, you just had this monstrous night. How do you make sure you don't let that affect you as you move forward and get like a little bit too hungry with the long ball? That just naturally comes based on the pitches you hit.
Yes, sir. I mean, the biggest focus is to not try to do it. I mean, it's always in the back of your head, but the goal is, what the plan is, what they're going to pitch. We have the scouting report. So we're told what our approach should be, and we just try to put the best swing we can on whatever they give us. And it just worked out for me well last night.
Again, thanks for your time. I know you got a game again, and by the time this runs with us, it'll be on Monday, so your series will be over against New Mexico State. But Ed, when Kevin Gall said that somebody he didn't, two grand slams is like the 5th inning or whatever, I'm like, golly. And then, of course, the one that walked it off because of the score. Just congratulations. You seem like you're a very humble guy, that it won't but hell, enjoy it too, man. You're kind of low key. This is awesome. Congratulations, Tyce. Thanks for your time and have a great weekend.
Of course. I appreciate you having me on.
Tyce Armstrong, 3 grand slams on Friday night. Baylor Baseball, 365 Sports.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics, whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
We are back, 365 Sports, to start this 5 o'clock hour. And, man, we've had a lot to discuss and still a lot more to get to. Dave McCann joins us. Love the segments with him on BYU, everything. And, Dave, it's been kind of a rough week, but let's start with the injury. And thanks for your time, as always, with Richie Saunders. Can you try to describe or paint a picture for those that only knew him as an athlete of what he meant to BYU?
Well, it's great to be with you guys again, as always. Richie could be president of the United States someday. Just carries himself on the court, off the court. He's genuine wherever he goes. On the court, he was a tenacious rebounder, really the life and soul of that team, according to Kevin Young, and I believe it as we've seen it. Certainly saw him evolve last year as a first-team All-Big 12 performer, and this year 17 points, 6 rebounds or so, 32 minutes a game. He's big. That's the big three, and now there are 2 instead of 3, and that's huge. So thank goodness they just have Arizona to deal with on Wednesday and then Iowa State, so they really have some room to work things out. But that's the world we're in. It's been a tough blow over the weekend.
So this is what BYU signed up for, right? Life in the Big 12 and basketball in particular. And it's been a great season, but obviously of late the schedule has started to turn and there's been some losses piling up. And as you mentioned, it doesn't get any easier. So with the injuries factored in, just kind of what's the feel of this roller coaster that the season has been and where this thing is going moving forward?
We're really interested to see on Wednesday in Tucson. The team was a little flat on Saturday. Richie went out 45 seconds into the first half. And a lot of times when a kid gets a sprained ankle or a knee, they'll go in, get taped up. And even if they're not going to play, they'll come back and sit on the bench. But Richie never came back. And then they went into the locker room at halftime. He'd already left to go to the hospital, I believe, to get the knee reevaluated. And then the team came out and the arena is packed because they're retiring Jimmer Fredette's jersey, but Richie didn't come out, and you could just kind of feel a letdown, one of the unknown, because everyone feared for the worst and didn't know, and then Sunday afternoon got news that it was the worst, and now it's on the rest of the guys to rally up and go see what they can be without him. It'll be interesting to see when you have a big 3. Sometimes it leaves the other 2 wondering what their roles are. In the starting 5. And we've kind of seen that throughout the season. Now you lose one of the big 3, not by choice, but you lose one. And now the responsibilities shift a little bit. There's some more shots. There's some more minutes. There's some more opportunities for guys like Kennard Davis to get involved in the offense. And he's going to have to, along with a couple of other guys, to keep the fight in this team that's still pretty good. They still have, I think, the best freshman, maybe the best player in college basketball on their team, and one of the best point guards. And heading into a tournament, if you have a great point guard and you have another really, really, really good player, you can do some things. So I think they're just stunned here on this Monday, but they still have a pretty good team, and I think optimism will return once they get back into things.
Dave, just kind of like big I guess, wide view of the Big 12. I mean, as of late, BYU's seen 15-1, 14-8. They're about to see 4-6, and in a couple of weeks or 3 weeks or so, 13 to close out the season. Just what do you think about when you think about this league right now? How many big-time, real natty contenders do you think they have, and just what's it been like to see BYU sort of just going through this murderer's row week in and week out?
As a basketball fan, it's just awesome. You can't even imagine. Everybody else that's not in the Big 12, no matter if they're in the Big 10, the SEC, or ACC, have to look at the Big 12 and go, man, I wonder what it'd be like to be in that league for basketball. Can't beat everybody, and nobody does. BYU's taken their licks, although they've been close games. They haven't got smoked. The biggest disappointment was the loss at Oklahoma State. They scored 92 points in that game and lost. That one, I think, is the one of all the games that's still kind of lingering in disappointment. But man, the others they were up 9 at Texas Tech with 9:25 to go, and the Red Raiders flipped a switch and they were toe-to-toe with Houston here. Had a shot to beat Arizona at the buzzer here. So it's not like they've been getting blown out by these teams that are in the top 10, but they've been getting beat by them, and that needs to turn here quickly if they want to fight for a better seed than 5 or 6. And they have opportunities. Arizona, maybe you could say, might have been a little better than BYU last year. They certainly beat them here. And then BYU went to Tucson and beat them there. They got a chance to do that again on Wednesday. They're legit. They're great. They were pretty good last year. But you have a shot to beat them here on a night when Rob and AJ shot 9 of 40. You clean that up a little bit, and you might have a shot to beat them down there on Wednesday. So there's optimism when you look at it, but the gauntlet is it's awesome. That's the only word I can think of.
Yeah, it is. It turn around and okay, you get we got them Wednesday or Saturday to Monday. Iowa State does not play well on one day's rest, and Houston under Kelvin Sampson the last 2 or 3 years is like 13-1 from a Saturday to a Monday. Back to BYU. Where is Jimmer Fredette when it comes to the roll call of the greatest athletes in BYU history?
He's right up there. He's in there's only 5 that have their jerseys up in the rafters, and he became the 5th one on Saturday. As a human being and an ambassador off the floor, BYU couldn't ask for a better spokesperson, or the church for that matter. He's as genuine as you might think he is. He's as friendly as you'd hope he is. And he can shoot as good as anybody. So Saturday, with 20,000 fans wearing number 32 jerseys, he stood down on the floor and thanked everybody. And then they put the spotlight up on the jersey in the rafters, and Danny Ainge's jersey up there, Kreshmer Chosic's jersey up there, Mel Hutchins, Roland Minson, and then number 32 right in the middle of it. He's on the Mount Rushmore of BYU basketball, and now a representative with the Olympics, and just the kind of guy you'd want to have over for dinner.
I don't know that we'll ever see AJ Dybantsa get his jersey retired. Never say never, I suppose. But just in the time that you've been able to watch him this year, what do you walk away from kind of thinking about when it comes to his presence at BYU with this team and just the basketball player that he is?
I wish everybody could have lunch with him and just visit with him off the floor. He's a genuine, there's no guile in this teenager. He's humble, loves his parents, listens to everything they tell him, and then he does it. Great student. And then on the basketball floor, when he flips that switch, he's tenacious. The buzz around here is the arguably the greatest player that BYU's ever had, talent-wise. Certainly doing more. I think he needs 24 points Wednesday to pass Danny Ainge's all-time rookie scoring record here. That's Danny Ainge we're talking about. I mean, that's another Mount Rushmore guy for BYU basketball. And AJ he's just, on an off night, he scores 20. On a big night, he scores 36 or more. And he's going to be a fantastic pro. They beat him up in the Big 12. I think that shocks him a little bit. And he likes to sell getting fouled. and he doesn't always make that sell, but he gets fouled a lot. And in this league, they play on. In the NBA, they don't play on. They send you to the free throw line where someone's not going to dare touch you, and then you have all this space to get your shot off. He's going to be a phenomenal player at the next level. And watching him and the 5 or 6 other freshmen in the country is a treat because one of them's on TV almost every night.
Yeah, this will definitely be the most physical basketball he plays, I think, the rest of his career, huh? I mean, look at the way the NBA is right now, that's for sure.
The Danny Ainge mention, anytime I hear of him and it's not the Celtics or baseball, whatever, is that coast-to-coast drive against Notre Dame in the NCAA tournament. I was a senior, I think, in college when that play happened, and what that meant to BYU back at that time.
It was the moment, and we see it all the time around here. And if there's a big game, there's always a reference to big moments, and that one was something else. Jimmer had a lot of. Interestingly, Jimmer broke Ainge's scoring record at BYU with a 52-point night against New Mexico in Las Vegas at the Mountain West tournament, and he had 1 free throw in all those 52 points. They beat him up too, and the refs that night just swallowed their whistle. I think they were amazed at what he was doing. But it took 52, and that's how he passed Ainge. And then Tyler Haws snuck past him a couple seasons later. But Danny was there on Saturday to watch Jimmer's number go up there and join his, and he's another ambassador for BYU. But yeah, that iconic layup to beat the Irish was something else.
I hate to bring it up, but it's part of the deal with Parker Kingston and the story from last week. I remember the picture with he and what was going to be his fiancée. And then just a few days later, all of the news that comes down about the sexual assault investigation. How much shrapnel, as far as the emotions in Provo, have come from that?
It's just shocking. For everybody who knows Parker, it's even more shocking. If you had asked me Tuesday night who one of the 3 leaders on this football team is, I'd say Parker Kingston without hesitation. Might even give you his name first. Dynamic punt returner, maybe the best in the Big 12 coming back. He and Bear Bachmeier had developed quite a chemistry from the receiver-quarterback relationship, and he was expected to have a big year, but none of that really means anything now with his situation. And we'll find out what it means for the football team. They open up spring practice a week from Friday on the 27th. The receiving core is limited now. JoJo Phillips is the leading returning receiver. He had 14 receptions last year. That's just 13 more than Bear Bachmeier had. So that gives you an idea of the receiving core situation. They picked up a kid in the portal from Oregon, and we'll see. That's going to be the big mystery moving forward. As far as the team and the impact on that, they went through the Jake Retzloff situation last summer just before fall camp, and rallied together and made it through and rallied around an 18-year-old freshman and won 12 games with him. This is a pretty old, veteran, resilient group. But they're going to look different in the fall. They picked up a couple of tight ends, Salih Paga from Oregon and Lyons from USC. They could be tight end heavy and run with LJ Martin, who's the best running back in the Big 12. And then you got Bear Bachmeier there to mix it up. So they still have plenty of weapons to come through, but no question, this was a punch in the gut for BYU football, but even more so for the folks who know the people involved in this awful situation.
Yeah, to clarify, we know the code. If this was just a couple, not just say just, but a couple that had broken the code by being together physically, what happens then if you're a student at BYU compared to obviously this being a very serious charge with what's happened?
Yeah, this is much different than that.
Yeah.
I was a student at BYU. There's an honor code that you pledge to live a certain way and keeping the standards set by the school and the Board of Trustees from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And premarital sex is something we abstain from. And when mistakes are made, you can recover from mistakes. BYU is never just looking for ways to kick people out, just like the church is never looking for ways to punish people. It's a means of helping people work through their challenges. Now, to some people, sex outside of marriage is not a big deal in society, but it is here. And at BYU, students, whether they live it or not, they sign up to live it, and then they're held to that standard. But when you make a mistake, there's plenty of room here to change and repent, and recover, and keep moving forward, even in school. When you make a mistake that brings in the legal system, that's different. But BYU is not a hard place to attend, and it's not for everybody. But those who are here all said, "Hey, you know what? I realize that's the honor code. I pledge to live it. I'm going to do my best living it. If I fall short, there are ways to make amends and keep going. And if I find that it's just too hard, then they'll help me go somewhere else." But in the case of Jake Retzlaff, he faced a 7-game honor code suspension for violating that, and opted to leave to go play at Tulane because it was his last year. If it wasn't his last year, I kind of think he would have stayed and worked through that and kept playing. BYU was a perfect spot for him. But I know Jake very well, and I was thrilled that he had a great season at Tulane and had an opportunity to get on with his life. We'll see what happens in the legal system with Parker. And then on the athletic side, which is the fun and games part of life, we'll see how the football team moves forward.
Dave, I saw the video you posted with the tuxedo on. Is that like, were you getting ready to host some awards banquet? Is that what you wear on TV? What was that?
Listen, so on Monday nights, we have our Wise Guys show. And so I'll put that thing on and record a promo, and we send it out every Monday for 2 reasons. 1, to get people to stop and go, "Why is that guy wearing a tux?" And then 2, "Oh, hey, here's who's on the show tonight." Like tonight, Jimmer Fredette's on the show, and David Nixon, outstanding football linebacker, former Cougar from BYU, will be on the show tonight as we talk about some of these things that we're talking about here today. But yeah, that tuxedo, when you see someone in a tuxedo, you really do one of 2 things. You either hand them your keys and tell them you'll be back out in a couple hours, or you go, "Hey, something's important here. I better listen."
Yeah. Tell David Nixon that you spoke to a couple of guys that did high school football when he was at A&M Consolidated.
Yeah.
He picked off 2 screen passes in one game against Matt Flynn, who won a national title at LSU and played in the NFL with the Packers. In one game, picked off 2 screen passes, middle screens, and ran them both back for a touchdown. We did those broadcasts. He was unbelievable.
I will tell him that. He'll be glad to know that 2 people remembered that.
He's a great player and he's also a good dude. Thank you very much, Dave. We appreciate you as always.
Anytime, guys. Thanks.
Dave McCann on Twitter. You can find him. It's a really good feed, but a great interview for us at Dave McCann TV. We appreciate his time. Paul, we're going to go to quizzes or what do we have here?
So we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to ask Andrew how this works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, again, is not on camera. We need to, if we have to do this again, have at least a camera that kind of goes down at you.
I've been thinking about that all day and how to get that to work, but I'll figure it out by the next time I have to do this.
Doing a hell of a lot of work behind the scenes. We'll be back with the quizzes and the poll results, and this is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective, Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
UBO Business Services. We are a studies-based service organization that is the best in Texas when it comes to copiers, printers, and scanners. The way we quantify that is through a company used by millions of corporations called Net Promoter Score. What Net Promoter Score looks at are your Google reviews. We have a better Net Promoter Score than H-E-B with a 65 and Ritz-Carlton Hotels with a 70. According to Net Promoter Score, if you're a 70 or above, you're considered world-class in customer service. UBO Business Services is an 86 when it comes to Net Promoter Score. You can find us at ubeo.com, ubeo.com.
The time is now. It's time for a new ride at the New Year New Ride Savings Event at Richard Carr GMC Buick Cadillac.
Sierra blends the premium interior with the muscle of a true work truck, built to handle the job and look good doing it. It's why GMC Sierra is the best truck on the road. During our New Year New Ride sales event, qualified buyers can save $13,000 on a Sierra. Drive one home today for just $41,390.
Call now, get here now, or log on now for the New Year New Ride Savings Event at Richard Carr.
Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
All right, we're back, 365 Sports, and we have quizzes and the poll results. Small steps as we continue this transition from what is the new studio from where we are, which is the old studio, in the same room. We're on the other side of the room that's expanded. We'll slowly do this. Paul, behind the scenes, is going to be a part of this as well. Let's do the trivia.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go. All right. I don't know. Can you guys see this? I'll just read it to you. As of, hold on, I got to move this part.
I see a poll result, not a quiz.
Okay.
Okay. No, that's a quiz.
No,
okay. Now I see the answer.
No, that's my bad. That's my bad. As of the 2026 Winter Olympic Games, the record for the most total Olympic medals, over 3,100, was held by which of these remains the number 2 most decorated in history? So I have the there's a thing in my way here that I can't move that says live here on the screen. So I'm sorry about that.
What are the options
the
to
Soviet
the question?
Union,
Okay.
China, Germany, or Great Britain?
Got to be Soviet Union.
Yes, it is the Soviets.
All right.
The former Soviet Union, even though it hasn't existed since 1991, they still hold the second place spot all time for with 1,204 total medals, including the former East and West Germany is combined as a close third, over 1,100, with China and Great Britain continue to climb the ranks of the 21st century. But the Soviet Union was always cheating, right? Because
are they in this Olympics?
No.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because they don't exist anymore. And then the Russians are not even allowed to be in the Olympics either because they were cheating.
I mean, obviously that's what I meant.
Well, not everyone. I know East Germany also was accused of that. Hell, there's some United States guys who have been Olympic. But
we're not here to kite for Russia, Smokey. They've been cheating forever.
Yeah, they in the early 1970s. That's when it all began. That's when they went like warp speed and dominating a lot of the Olympic competition.
Still just lying about every single thing still today. About every single thing you can imagine. They're still lying about it.
Well, when they elected a president who then decided he was never going to give up power and missed the good old days, but
good old days.
But figured out a way to make more money.
And,
yeah, he missed the good old days.
Well, I guess it was good for his people, but not so much for the rest of Russia. But Soviet Union it is.
All right, another one.
In 1979, is Andrew a commie? Is that what's going on here? In 1979, the Soviet Union proved their dominance by crushing which star-studded squad 6-0 at Madison Square Garden? The New York Rangers, the Canada Cup roster, the NHL All-Stars, or the Bruins.
None of the other short for Valedistevsky or something like that. Valedikovsky.
Yeah, it's got to be the All-Star, the NHL All-Stars. Has to be. Otherwise, all the other ones is fine, but that wouldn't be a big deal compared to beating the All-Stars.
It is the All-Stars.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Smokey. Just 1 year before the Miracle on Ice, the Soviets humiliated the NHL legends, including Guy Lafleur and Bobby Clark in a 6-0 blowout. This total destruction of the world's best professionals is why the U.S. college kids' victory in 1980 was considered a literal miracle. It absolutely was. And again, we as the United States kept on this stupid thing of we're going to have amateurs while the rest of the world was like, all right, we're going to play our pros.
Like college players getting paid eventually, right?
Get ready because there's going to be NFL players playing flag football in L.A. here in a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right.
Look,
Guy Lafleur, by the way, was a hell of a player, no question.
The dream team never happens if everybody else sticks to amateurism.
That's right.
We did the dream team
just to say,
okay, if you guys are going to do this, here's the sport we invented and we're the best at. So there you go. All right, who wins more games in the 2026 season? Coach Prime and the Buffs or Coach Belichick and UNC? And the Buffs, 56% to 44%.
Ooh, I think Belichick will have – he's not going to be there long, but I think he'll have a slight bounce, a little uptick this year.
Yeah, I haven't done much digging on North Carolina at this point, so I don't even know what their roster looks like. Who's their quarterback?
It's not great. Billy Edwards.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
it's not great.
Okay. Versus Colorado's. I mean, I'm not buying what Deion's selling at this point. I know Colorado fans or Deion fans that are now rooting for Colorado, like they believe in him. I don't have that same level of just blind belief. I have a lot of questions about Colorado, but I could see them winning this poll because, there's nothing that North Carolina's putting on paper that's like, it's definitely the Tar Heels.
I'll take Juju Lewis and a new offensive coordinator over Billy Edwards and Michael Lombardi's roster that he's constructed for Bill Belichick.
Coach who's actually comfortable to some degree. I mean, both have their off-field things, but Deion's is about like his health availability. And Bill Belichick's is about his weird girlfriend. So, give me Colorado to have a better year, but I don't think we're talking the difference between like a championship team and a non-bowl team. I think we're probably talking about a couple games difference, and ultimately we get down to it.
You know what Bill Belichick would not really have to worry about? If the girlfriend was just young. If she was just
and wasn't starved for attention.
If she wasn't like trying to be an Instagram model,
right?
While being, that would be the thing. It was just like young
or just high ass maintenance.
Yeah. Well, you remember the comedian Tony Randall, right? Smokey?
Right.
He had a very young wife, but she was just a young lady. It wasn't anything. Like, she wasn't out there trying to be like, hey, by the way, I'm Tony Randall's wife. Watch out, world.
Okay. Colorado opens with Georgia Tech. North Carolina opens with TCU, so they'll both probably lose. North Carolina in the first month has Clemson and Notre Dame. So there's most likely a 1-3, possibly worse start. And Miami's on there. Yeah, it's probably going to end up being Colorado.
Yeah. Okay, poll question number 2. Is K-State right to fire Jerome Tang for cause? 23% says yes, he crossed the line, which, again, there's that low bar. Better hope they're on the jury if it goes to trial in Manhattan. And 77% say no, pay that man his money.
Yeah, Rounders was on TV the other day, actually. But, you definitely never seen Rounders.
You might like that one, though.
Is that a Denzel Washington movie?
No, it's got Matt Damon, Ed Norton, and John Malkovich in it. It's about poker. It's good.
I think I've seen a trailer, but it's
very good.
Yeah. All right.
Very good.
So,
I mean, I definitely don't think he crossed a line unless there's something that is just not publicly available yet, and there's no indications that there is a smoking gun out there. Now, I did see, and this is hey, I can be anonymous and say whatever I want to on social media. So I'd see somebody say, well, Tang better hope that like somebody's personal life doesn't become public. And somebody very quickly pointed out, and kudos to them for doing so, is like, so this before or after they signed him to the big extension. Like, I mean, so everything was fine up until he made these comments, and now we're like, oh, but no, just wait till the skeletons come out. It's like, well, if their skeletons were already there, then why are you just now addressing them because of the losses, right? So I don't think that there's anything. I think that he's going to get whatever settlement. I mean, there will be a settlement, I'm sure, and I think he'll get a good bulk of that money, because I don't see anything that's been done, including what he said in the post game. Like I said, unless there's some smoking gun all of us are completely unaware of right now, nothing that we are privy to should say that he got fired for cause.
If K-State's president and AD really think the school was embarrassed by recent events, that's nothing compared to the embarrassment that both of them are about to experience with Tom Mars.
Well, it's just such an overreach and a low bar to say, like, the press conference. Man, Kansas State, like, remember Ron Prince? Like, he didn't do that. I mean, yes, he had a 6 a.m. practice, but he didn't violate NCAA rules. He didn't do anything like Sharon Moore or Mel Tucker did or somebody else. The only curse word he said is on the line. He said, "I'm pissed."
Yeah.
By the way,
he didn't use 30 F-bombs like Danny Hurley. He didn't break an honor code. He just was very disappointed in his team.
By the way, we're being very selective of treating these like they're poor unpaid college kids all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, they're going to what about the kids, the student athletes? And it's like, come on, man, that ship sailed. These are professional athletes now at this point. And certainly the case of K-State basketball, they are more pro athlete than they are the old way of being a college student.
How much are they paying PJ Haggerty?
Yeah, exactly. That's what my point is. So it's like there's money flowing. If these guys were on scholarship and we're getting meal vouchers and that was, room and board paid for, and that was about it, then okay. But like this era now, we're not doing, at least I'm not doing the poor pitiful kid thing. I'm not doing that for big time college basketball. Like all of a sudden their feelings are hurt, so we get to fire this guy when we all know the reason you want to fire the guy is because he's not winning and you don't want to pay the contract that you signed and agreed to.
There you go.
And that's all there is to it.
If you've ever seen, I never got fired from a minimum wage job when I had one. But if you can get fired at 17 for a minimum wage job for goofing around at a Wendy's, then if you're going to make $4 million a year, a coach can say, I'm not thrilled with your performance.
Yeah, we're not going to do the whole, you get treated like an adult in every single way, but when it comes to like some type of punishment or negativity or whatever, like we're not going to insulate these guys and gals to the point of like you can get all the money you want and all the free stuff and all the exposure, but we're not going to be mean to you and we're not going to yell at you and say anything bad. Like, come on now, man. They're millionaires who are in their early 20s in a lot of cases. They can handle it, even the late teen ones. I mean, AJ Dybantsa is as much of a grown-up as anybody. That young man's like barely 18 at this point. He's a freaking millionaire. I mean, they're grown up enough in this day and age, and always have been, quite frankly, to handle some coach talking trash to them. So that's not going to fly for me at all. And by the way, before there's that inevitable K-State fan who's like, why are they picking if this was Hofstra or NYU or Texas Tech or Baylor or whoever, we'd be saying the same thing about the contract. So don't take this as anti-K-State in any way. It's just it's their turn in front of the camera, basically.
And I think they took a big swing on this firing for cause. Yeah, because it's the only thing that can save them some money.
It might cost them more. I wonder if it can.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, like the legal fees that they were probably not going to have to pay had they just negotiated a clean buyout of instead of us giving you 2 lump sums, can we give you 4 lump sums or 5 lump sums? That's what they should have done.
And if Jerome Tang has this, and he does, alpha attorney, he's not going to have to pay any attorney fees, right?
No, I mean, it's all going to be,
somebody's going to be paying Tom Mars one way or the other, but I don't know if it'll come directly from him. But yeah, I mean, it's I understand K-State's move. I understand going ahead and saying, all right, we've reached the point of no return. We got to make a clean break, and we just got to start over here. All of us agree that that's not anything that's all that crazy. It's just that, I just don't agree that you did it and get to go pay no money for having done it. That's all.
Yeah. Bill Self. Last thing on Jerome Tang, it was asked about him earlier today. I like Jerome. I hate to see when any coach gets to let go, but I also know that it's a big money and big business, And he said, I just hope it all becomes fair in the end. So there we are with He Has Spoken. All right, Paul Catalina is our jack of all trades today. Maybe the Swiss Army knife. Andrew Valade, Garrett Ross. Is Brandon back tomorrow?
Yes, he is, and then he's gone again on Wednesday and then back after all that. So
all right,
the way this got scheduled out was a little bit different. But
all right, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Spread the word. Hit the like button. For Craig Smoak and Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoak. Good night, 365 Sports.